We're gonna start just in 1 minute. Just trying to get myself together here. How was your day so far?
Talking about me, my day is still going.
Oh, excuse me, sir. Great to see you. Oh my God, what a wonderful surprise.
Me
Thank
too,
you.
yeah.
What?
Actually, my wife is had to do something, so I had to take care of the kid. I asked Rosa, but Rosa has an emergency. I said I had no choice. But
But that's a good thing, for the community in particular, and of course for us as well.
yes,
You
yes,
boss. And boss, especially in that kind of meeting like this, the boss should be present.
the boss is the boss is Mike. He's the boss.
Well, yeah, I can understand that very well. In the school construction authority, when it comes to DOE, you are our boss.
Uh, I'm your partner. I'm your partner. I'm your partner.
Don't fight it, accept it. Yes. All right. I think that yes, it's let's see if I see some of our members, so we should start maybe in 1 2 minutes. Let's see. Okay, let's see who is with us. Participants. Yeah, very good. Let me go my phone. I'm gonna mute it. Yes. Okay. All right. Is Glenny in? Let's see. Because Glenny is going to. Glenny, 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 Glenny. Glenny. I'm not sure if it's just in. Glenny, are you there? I don't think that she's there yet. So, all right. I think that fair enough. We're going to start our meeting. So let's call our meeting to order. All right. Good evening, everyone. Meeting is called to order. And good evening, everyone. My name is Faith Ramon, Chair of the Youth and Education Committee. For the record, today is March 8th. It's a Monday, 2021. And I would like to officially welcome to our meeting number 3. So I want to start by saying, first of all, I want to thank our presenters, uh, especially for those that volunteered the time, Superintendent, the School Construction Authority team, Mr. Michael Marisola. We have Steve Tuosolo, Michael Kona. We also have, let me see, I'm missing anyone else in there. Well, these are the presenters, and I believe Mr. Ramírez, I don't know, is Mr. Arredondo is going to be with us as well. Is she with us?
No, she's not gonna join us. I am the best substitute for Rosa you can get. So
Oh no. Well, you
you got me. You're stuck with me today.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, and welcome. Definitely. I also wanted to express my appreciation for Board of President office. I believe we have Gail Brewer, our Board of President, Representative Natalie Espino, and I'm not sure the Board of President is actually in person, but whatever she is, because she usually watch our meeting, I want to say thank you, Board of President. And of course, I wanted to also thank my colleague, Mr. Wayne Benjamin, who is the chair of the Land and Use Committee. His assistant chair, Tanya Bonner, my colleague. Hey, Tanya, thank you. and of course, all my colleagues. So as part of the new initiative that our committee embraced, especially this year, what we are doing is we are giving our members the opportunity so that they can direct meetings along, with me, so they can test the water and start, putting in practice that leadership within them. And today is the turn for our colleague, Aquino, Glenys Aquino. I don't know if she is still here. Glenny, are you somewhere? Well, she's not. I guess that she have not arrived yet. But
yeah, I don't see her logged in.
she's not yet, right?
No.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is, if down the path you see somebody else speaking and directing the meeting, this is the reason. It's my colleague, Glenys Aquino. But I will continue. We go as far as as we can. So if I wanted to start by asking all my members of the Youth and Education Committee, to identify themselves for the record. And then we're going to ask members of the Land and Use Committee as well, so they can identify themselves. So we will proceed with the presentation. So members, Youth and Education Committee, please identify yourself for the record.
Mariam James.
Yes,
Maria Luna.
thank you. Gabriela, we're calling. Gabriela, can you hear me? You can talk? Okay, Gabriela, it's for the record.
I'm here too, Waldis Cruz.
Waldis Cruz. Very
Happy Monday, everybody.
hello. Who else is from Youth and Education Committee? Anybody else? So then let's switch to the Land and Use Committee.
Hi, good evening. Wayne Benjamin, Chair of Land Use.
Thank you.
Hi, Tanya Bonner, Assistant Chair of Land Use Committee. Hi, how are you? Thank
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Likewise, thank you for joining us. Now, do we have any board members with us? Or another member from the Land and Use Committee? Okay. Well, if it's not, then I guess that we should proceed. Whoever it is, I guess that they will come even, later on. I just wanted to go over the agenda very quickly, so we have some sense of direction. So we're going to have the first presenter, who's going to be the School Construction Authority. Of course, you probably have seen the agenda already. And follow then, we're going to have the subject of the presentation, of course, is the proposal for the construction of the new school building, N502, and site location, 3761 10th Avenue. And this is, of course, in the eastern part of the community, and more to come, our District 6. Following their presentation, the School Construction Authority presentation, so we're going to have our representative from District 6, Mr. Ramirez, our superintendent, may volunteer any information that he may want to just to say in terms of his view on the process, and whatever he wants to convey to us. Any information would be helpful. So, and following that, of course, we are going to have, and by the way, for those who are not necessarily in the panel, so I wanted they to know that Rosa Angelina Arredondo is the Deputy Superintendent, and that was supposed to be with us, but instead we have a superintendent. So just for clarification. So, and then in there, we're gonna have our colleague, Wayne Benjamin. He's going to actually make comments, and once he his express information that he wanted to convey to the rest of us, so we're gonna open up the floor for questions. In the face of questions, we're gonna have committee usually have the upper hand first. In this case, I personally consider this a joint meeting, let's say, with the Land and our Youth Education Committee. So members of the Youth Education Committee will be asking questions first, and then the land and use. And of course, then we're gonna allow parents first, educators, if we have any principal in the house, or anybody else, definitely. And of course, when the principal and the parent speaks, we want to hear from other folks. I think that Board of President Natalie usually may have any question also as well, and other Cali's community board will have the opportunity to ask questions. I highly encourage that you raise your hand when that section comes. And then from there, we're going to move to the new and old business where folks may have the opportunity to share any announcement. And hopefully we're gonna be discussing briefly about the Chancellor Carranza exit the Department of Education. So without any further delay, I wanted to welcome and thank you very much all. So let's proceed and conceal the floor to the School Construction Authority that is going to be led by Mr. Michael Marisola, Director of External Affairs, and also Steve A. Tonsolo, who is the Community Relation. And I understand also his colleague that he just introduced, Mr. Michael Kona as well. So welcome again. And one very last thing that I wanted just to say for the sake of clarity, please define your role, because that's going to be very helpful in distinguishing people asking questions that are relevant only or pertain to the School Construction Authority, and they don't ask questions that may belong to the DOE, so we can, save some time. Welcome again, and the floor is yours, Mr. Mirizola, or School Construction Authority team.
Good evening, Ms. Florimon. Thank you. Mr. Benjamin, thank you, sir. I want to thank the two committee chairs for coming together to assist us in carrying out our mission to inform you as to what's going on in your community. As you know, our charter requires us to come before the community board in the general meeting and the Community Education Council in their monthly general meeting to bring forward a site for a possible acquisition by the School Construction Authority. Although we already carried out that technical requirement, we're here because we want to get the word out to as many people, and we really appreciate your giving us this time. So thank you very, very much. If you wouldn't mind, I'm going to share my screen, and just for the formality, I'm going to read the, may I share my screen? I think someone has to give me that okay. Let's see.
Yes, Chanel?
Can you share host only?
Yes.
They should be able to share it now.
Thank you, Chanel.
Oh, I got it. Okay, here we go. Share. Okay, so this is a formality and something I must read. So let's get that done, and then we can talk. And then I can really just open up the floor for questions, because that's why we're here. Well, before I start, we'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. But the problem with some of the responses I'm going to give you, it's so early in this process. We're out here to discuss and to explain our plan and what we think is the best course of action. So there isn't a lot to say. We don't own the property. We haven't designed the school. So there are going to be some things that you're going to ask, and I just will not be able to answer, but we will certainly get back to you. So let's start. Pursuant to Section 1731 of the New York City School Construction Authority, notice has been filed for the proposed site selection of Block 2198, lots 1 and 5, and any other property in the immediate vicinity which may be necessary for the proposed construction of a new approximately 860-seat primary school and intermediate school facility in the Community School District Number 6 in the Borough of Manhattan. The proposed site contains approximately 27,710 square feet or 0.64 acres of lot area and is located on the east side of 10th Avenue, bounded by West 201st Street and Southwest 202nd Street to the north. The site is privately owned and is located within the Special Inwood Zoning District. The northern portion of the site, Lot 5, is improved with a 2-story masonry building. The southern portion of the site, Lot 1, is a former gas station. mostly paved and improved with temporary steel structures. The site plan and supplemental materials summarizing the proposed action are available at the New York City School Construction Authority, 3030 Thompson Avenue, Long Island City, 11101. Attention, Ms. Gail Mandaro. Comments on the proposed action are to be submitted to the New York City School Construction Authority at the above address or by email to sites@nycsea.org and will be accepted until March 29th, 2021. So those are the formalities. I also want to mention, I think she hasn't been mentioned yet. We have, and I'm lucky to have tonight, the senior counsel to the School Construction Authority's Real Estate Department, Ms. Gail Mandaro. And of course, as Faye mentioned, we have Mike Conan. Michael is also part of the Works for Gail, and he is the Director of Real Estate. And Mr. Stephen Tizzulo, who is the External Affairs person for Manhattan for the School Construction Authority. So Faye, I'd like to open it up for questions. If I might, I'm going to let you take over from here, and you can flag whomever you wish it. And so that between us, I'm sure we'll be able to answer most of, not all of the questions at this time.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do your best, and I can understand, yes. So before we go into the questions, I wanted to conceal the floor to Superintendent Ramirez in case that he want to share any thoughts on this project as to, when this started, how he feels about it, and any opinion that he may wants to volunteer, any piece of information that he may wanted to, it would be much appreciated. Whatever he wants to say, so we can go ahead and move forward. And thank you again, Mr. Mirizola.
Hello, everybody. I'm Manuel Ramirez, Community School District Superintendent. I want to acknowledge the presence here of the Manhattan Executive Superintendent, Marisol Rosales. Ms. Rosales, you there? Yeah, she's here. Okay. I think Faye, I think is a best way to handle this would be to listen to the School Construction Authority first, and then, based on information that they give us and the question that the community asks, then we can continue the conversation. So I'm going to, I would like to pass it over to Executive Superintendent to say, just to say hello.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Superintendent Ramirez. It is great to be in community with everyone tonight. I do want to shout out all of my colleague women across Manhattan as we celebrate our day. So a big shout out to women who raise and educate our children here in Manhattan. So a big shout out. And I also, as Superintendent Ramirez said, I am here to listen to the community. I also know
We lost her.
And there, can you hear me?
We lost you for a minute.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spend much time. Just know that I am listening to the community, and that I am excited. I am excited about this project and what it means for our children. But here to listen to the community and see how we can support for sure. So thank you for having me, and thank you, Mike and Stephen, for your hard work.
Okay. Thank you, Executive Superintendent Rosales. We appreciate your thoughts. And well, hopefully our superintendent is on the same page as you are. Usually that's how team function. So, all right. So I guess then at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our Cali, the chairman of the Land and Use Committee, so he can share some of his comments. Mr. Wayne, please.
Thank you, Faye. But, before we get into that, the community board, if I'm not mistaken, Faye, Ebenezer, sent to the School Construction Authority the combined list of questions generated by land use and by youth and education.
Yes.
So my question is, have the presenters had the opportunity to review those questions and, have at least some initial responses? Because, the reason we went to the effort of, reducing those questions to writing and sending them to you in advance of the meeting is so we could have a more productive conversation.
Well, yeah, we did get them this afternoon, and of course, we did take a look at them. We haven't a lot of time, but we can go through those questions if you like. If someone wants to bring them up on the screen, I can even go try and find them on my emails, and we could go one at a time. Or it's your meeting, so we'll handle it any way you want, Mr. Benjamin.
Well, yeah, let me just say, conceptually, land use looked at this from the perspective of, are there any discretionary, zoning or land use issues that are involved? And I don't believe they are, because if I'm not mistaken, SCA is exempt from zoning or it can override zoning. You correct me if I'm wrong. But in any case, schools are considered community facility uses. So in the zoning that we have, that would not be a zoning issue. But we can get in more detail of that. But we had a lot of discussion on some of the planning and siting considerations, and in your letter to the community board, it actually does say that written comments on the site plan is what is being requested at this juncture, because you do not have a project that's designed yet, which is good, because that you'd be coming to the community and the community board with more of a fait accompli. So in general terms, not to go one by one through the questions, but it's like, what is driving the decision to build a new school? I understand that the existing schools are in leased spaces, but the committee wanted to know, if you're going to buy a site to build a new building, was the option considered to basically buy the sites where they're currently located to do any improvements there? So that's, one, question or one theme. The other theme is, if purchasing the existing sites is not an option, is co-locating them in a single new building the best way to go? Or would there be more options to build new school buildings closer to where they currently exist, if in fact you looked at building two smaller structures as opposed to one large structure? The discussion of how you identify the sites, what kind of community outreach you did to either identify sites or to vet the sites. And that would normally be something more on the agenda for the youth and education, not for land use. But what did you do as you were identifying sites to get to the point where you are now? We noticed in the lists provided, there's actually a larger site, like a 47,000 square foot site, that is one of the sites that you looked at, but it's not the site that you picked. This site is 20,000 square feet smaller. So the question is, why did you reject the larger site for a smaller site? So it's kind of, what's the thinking behind the planning, the siting, and the decision to have one school as opposed to one school building as opposed to two? And then also in terms of planning, my understanding, this is a zone school. What is the geographic zone that is served? And how does the current location of the schools compare to the proposed new location in terms of, a proximity to where, students and parents, live, and how that impacts the number or the percentage of students and parents who can walk to school now versus those that will be able to walk to school given the new location. So from the planning, site planning, siting perspective, those are the themes that land use came up with.
Okay, let me get started, because I'm jotting things down real fast, and if I miss
Well,
something,
but they should be exactly what was shared in writing.
yeah, but I don't have it in front of me right now,
Okay.
so I'm cool with that. I just might miss a point just throw it at me if I miss it.
Sure.
So let's start from the end and we'll work our way back maybe. The site you're speaking about was on 8th Avenue, I believe, and it was a large site. But our problem with that site was it just wasn't for sale. And the proposal from the landlord at that site was for us to take a portion of a development site. So his plan was to develop that site and give us and lease us a piece of the site. As I understand it, one, the biggest problem is his timeline. He's not even in the ground yet, and we're not sure when he will get into the ground. The next problem was when he did parse out what he wanted to give us as for a school, it was not sufficient for a school. A good chunk of the space was actually in the basement, and I don't believe there was any exterior playground space on the site.
Are you talking about the 4650 Broadway site?
Yes, sir. So we had to eliminate that site because it was not going to be done in time, because remember, we're up against the clock here. Your lease is coming up. So we have to be ready to open our school when that lease is over. So that sort of brings me into the first point, I think, was what did we discuss and did we want to build on the existing site? That's not an option. The landlord is not selling that site, and the landlord is not extending us the last time we spoke to that landlord, he gave us a short-term extension and told us we should be planned to be out of there when the next lease comes due. So that simply was not an option.
So is SCA, not to interrupt you, but just to stay on that point, is SCA looking at acquisition sites where it's just a negotiated sale, and does not SCA have powers of eminent domain?
We are not, we would look at lease sites. We look at lease sites all over the city, and the SCA does have powers of eminent domain, which is, I probably will step back and let my senior counsel deal with that one. We do occasionally have to proceed with eminent domain, but we did not in this situation because we do that sparingly. We do not want to take somebody's property just because we can. And so let me further drill down on some of your other questions, and then maybe Gail can jump in on the eminent domain when I'm done. So how do we look at sites and what do we do? Our job is to, well, this process started, remember, when the last lease had expired, and we went to the landlord and he sort of told us, get ready to go. So we started the process a number of years ago. We've been looking at sites since that time. What enters, there's so many things that enter into our discussion. We've tried and do in our what we do is we take our professionals, our real estate professionals, our zoning professionals, our traffic experts, our architects, our engineers, our industrial hygienists, and they all come together and they review all of the sites that we take into consideration. And our job is to bring the site that we feel is best for a school. And that's what we have done here. So we have looked at other sites. In fact, we were negotiating on some sites, and some sites we thought were not terrible, not as good as this one. In fact, this site was brought to us by the community. And some of the other sites were shot down. The first one, as I said, wouldn't make a good school and was not going to be ready on time. Another site that we were looking very seriously at was closer to the bus depot, and that was shot down because of traffic considerations. We looked at a site down on Dykeman Street. That was also a traffic issue. It was at the entrance to the Henry Hudson Parkway. So each one of these sites has pluses and minuses. Each one is bigger or smaller. And so the reason we chose this site is because we think it's a darn good site. It can keep this community together. And we hear a lot about the fact that people are concerned that the community is going to suffer. This keeps that community together. The schools can function together. They can work with and alongside of one another. This site is bigger square footage than the two other buildings. That's the two other buildings that they presently occupy. It will be, at the end of the day, a state-of-the-art school. It will be fully air conditioned, totally handicapped accessible. There will be science labs. There will be music rooms. There will be art rooms. And remember, it's at the entrance of what will soon be a new waterfront park. So if you look at it, and I spoke at the Community Education Council meeting not too long ago, and I did hear the community's concerns. And I, as a parent, I can understand the geographic issues for some of the parents who will have to travel. But for every parent that has to travel, I'm sure there will be others who will, this school might actually be closer. Remember, most our youngest children will be on buses. Our requirement is to find a school in the district that we feel, from all of those things that I mentioned and many more, would make the best location for our kids. And that is why we chose this site. So I think it's a good site. I think it's a large site. I think it will very soon be at the entrance to a beautiful park. And frankly, I've been around this a long time. I remember when we built the PSA, the 18 school. And when I went up there, I was kind of surprised because frankly, a lot of people said that that was not a very good site. It's next to a car wash. It was across the street from the microwave antennas from Time Warner at the time, and across the street from a bus station. I understand from parents, and I get it because I'm a parent and I walk 3 kids over a mile to school. That's kind of tough sometimes. But I do also believe that if taken as a whole, this location is the best location that we could find at this time for a school. I hope I answered your question. I think I got them all.
Just to follow up on a couple of things, you mentioned that this site was brought to you or referred to you by the community. I wonder if you could be a little more specific on how the site was brought to your attention. And then you touched upon, the proposed location may cause, some students and parents to travel more, and others may actually, it may be closer. Do you have any data on travel distance currently?
Well, I don't. You would probably go to our division of the Department of Education and the folks who deal with that. They probably would have a better handle on that kind of thing.
Well, I'm sure the Youth and Education Committee would be very interested in getting that, because I know that was discussed. Land use discussed it simply from the perspective of, planning, but I'm sure Youth and Education would be interested in it from the perspective of who are the not who precisely the students and parents, but what percentage of students and parents are actually, walking, that are, traveling, less than a quarter mile, that are traveling a mile. I mean,
that's a valid concern.
What's that data compare, and how does that change given the prior location? But my first question is, how did this site come to your attention?
I believe it came to, and Gail, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it came from an elected official, but I'm not sure if
that's not quite from the community.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
One second. I'm going to just jump in here. This is Gail Mandaro. I'm the Senior Director of the Real Estate Services for SCA. It came through us actually from a couple of sources. The owner himself reached out to, I forget if it was a direct contact to our then president or if it was through someone else, but the owner himself reached out, or the principal of the owner, I should say, it's a corporate ownership. I think we also may have gotten a site submittal at one point to our website, www.nycsca, sites at nycsca.org. And I think we also did hear from an elected official. So I can't speak specifically whether or not it was an actual community member who made the first connection, but I do know that the principal of the owner reached out to us. And then I do believe we got a site submittal as well as a connection, I think, through an elected official.
That website that Gail mentioned, we take site selections all 365 days a year from all 5 boroughs. So we get dozens and dozens of sites every week.
Were there any sites referred to SCA from, parents of children who attend the school?
Not to my knowledge.
I wouldn't know.
My knowledge.
And one of my initial questions is, currently the schools are near each other. I believe they're on the same block, but they're not in the same building. And the question is, if the current landlords absolutely positively have no interest in extending the lease and they're not selling, so you have to build a new structure, did you consider building two standalone buildings, which might be near each other still, but would that have given you more site options for locations that are closer to the current schools?
I don't think that that is necessarily correct. We did in fact look at more than one site. We did.
No, that was a question. I don't recall if he answered it. I was just reiterating it.
Yeah, we did not necessarily go out on a mission to find one site. We went out on a mission to find replacement sites for two organizations.
Mhm.
However, it unfolded in the best interest of the children is how it unfolded. We initially did look at two independent sites, but for the reasons that Michael very articulately stated, we passed on them. We found that this would be a better site, which would enable both organizations to remain together and provide them with some state-of-the-art improvements over their current location.
So just, just to, so that, we're clear, or for the minutes that are clear, the option of having the two schools located in two standalone buildings, would that have yielded locations where they are dramatically far away from each other? I mean, what were the downsides to the approach that had the buildings, had two buildings as opposed to one?
Oh, there's a laundry list, I would imagine, of downsides, but there's also plus sides too. So
Exactly. So, I mean, if it was rejected, what were the overriding factors that said, no, it makes more sense for them to be in, one building half a mile away as opposed to two buildings that might be closer?
To be fair, I don't believe that that's how our analysis went. Our analysis never was, we're going to pick this site because two orgs fit, as opposed to these two sites because two orgs fit. I don't think our analysis initially went out that way, though there are definitely some efficiencies created by having both orgs in one building. And it does allow for, some improved programs, perhaps. Certainly is going to provide for some at-grade play and some other amenities that they may not have gotten had we selected two smaller sites to construct on.
Tanya, is there anything else that we discussed in land use that we need to have further elaboration on from the presenters?
The only thing I recall, I know there were some issues, but again, this may spill over into youth and education, but there were concerns about the surrounding area in terms of it seeming sort of contained.
Yes.
Right, compatibility to the surrounding geographic environment. It seemed very cut off and contained in that particular space. And so there were some concerns there. That I think people might want to have some elaboration on or have, some of their concerns addressed in that area.
Right. I mean, and just for a little more detail, we've heard about plans for both waterfront esplanades and for new parks. The waterfront esplanades we've heard discussion of for a dozen years. And right now, I think we just have a few West Pocket parks. I have no idea what the schedule is for the proposed parks. So does SCA have more information on when some of the public open space improvements that have been discussed that will make the area of the proposed site more attractive when they are actually scheduled to come online?
So while we can't really speak for our colleagues throughout other city agencies and what their timeframes look like.
No, I said, do you have any information?
The only thing that we do know is that we have engaged with some of the stakeholders involved in those projects. So based on our engagement, I would suggest that they are contemplating some sort of mobilization in the near future. So it's not a decade away from now. It didn't sound like anyway, but that's about all I know about it.
The meetings I've been in, these plans are very real. I wouldn't speak for them. They're just, I can just tell you that from what I hear, they're very serious.
Right. Well, We're not doubting that they're real, and I believe the community board has supported conceptually those ideas. We have a Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee that may in fact have more details, and I know the chief of staff for the borough commissioner is a community board member. But all of that said, there was a fair amount of discussion of, if you took Dykeman houses away, which is, a residential complex that's an integral part of the community, but if you come to the other side of the street, the question is, are those uses something that is, compatible and attractive, for a school? And so one side of the street is, is a very different environment than the other side of the street.
And things will be changing very soon with the redevelopment, as you know. So
We
zoning changes.
We know the zoning changes. We commented in great detail on it, but we're also aware that zoning is not a development plan, and we have no idea, as you've just reiterated, what the actual time frame is for anything that is proposed. And a lot of what is proposed is of a nature and of a scale that's not quite consistent with what the community of the community board, shared with HPD and EDC. So there are a number of things that are in play that can be, beneficial to a new school, and a number of things that will, just create an environment where it's dwarfed and lost. So we're not quite sure what that area is in terms of a compatible environment for a school.
Right.
Well, I want to just to reiterate that we do have a school across 10th Avenue from the Gaiman houses. And in the 7 years that I have been as a superintendent, we have never had any problem, any issue whatsoever with the location of our school or the Diamond houses. In fact, what we have is a tremendous support from the community and tremendous amount of safety.
Yeah, but as a matter of fact, the Dykeman houses is seen as a plus. I mean, it's seen as a sort of a good residential environment and complex. And I don't know if any of the students who would attend the school live in the Dykeman houses. Our former chair years ago, Sybil Dotson, grew up there, as did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So we think it's a plus. The question is, and I think the questions that we proposed in writing said the other uses on the block where the school is located and kind of surrounding it, are those uses compatible with the school? Is it attractive for a school? I mean, if this was a site that was like right in, Dykeman houses, and I've seen throughout Manhattan a number of public housing complexes where there were schools actually built on the campus, that would be a completely different conversation.
And all right. So I guess that anything else, Wayne, that you wanted to add, or this is it in your part?
Well, I mean, Faye, as you know, the planning issues or the questions from the sort of land use perspective, they're on, the table, and I think the more central ones pertaining to the proposed location and whether, moving from 219 down to where it is now, I think that's something that is also going to be a central concern or part of a continued discussion when you open it up to the youth and education.
Yes.
We were looking at it and have discussed it more or less from the from the real estate and the site acquisition perspective. And I think we've covered it. If we've established that, a new lease of purchasing the existing buildings are off the table, which is something that, we were advised of in land use, but it's not confirmed at this meeting. If that's off the table, then you obviously do need a new site or sites. The process by which SCA goes about identifying those sites and the extent to which your committee or members of the community are familiar with that process, so that when something is formally presented, it's either, old news to them, or it's the first time they're hearing it, I think remains a question, but I think that's a question for your team.
Okay, well, not only a question for our team, but we also have not only one or two or one concerns, but one of the things mainly that I wanted to add on this conversation is it is very, if not highly important, to find out how the parents and the student population feels about that. I think that we ought to hear them, their testimony. We want to hear from the principal, to see what is their perspective on this as well. And we're going to be listening every possible, details on this before we even, come up with a resolution or make a decision as to what position we're going to take. But and definitely, or I should say, our committee has a lot of concern and a lot of questions, because we are still, of course, in my part personally, we still don't live and we learn it. And that's why we are having this conversation. So, but anyway, we need to move forward. And I wanted to actually see if I can formulate a few questions that was already sent to you. I don't know if I can come up with another question that may not be on this or part of the questionnaire that we send you, but just as a result of this discussion that we are having, because as we going to be listening to other folks speaking, that's where we're going to start formulating, other questions and concerns that may arise as a result of this discussion. So, but let me start with the first question that we send you, which is in the financial factor. So I would like to know, and when I say, forgive me when I say I mean my committee, of course. So yes, we would like to know, like, what is the cost of this initiative? And we also wanted to know, like, how is the cost going to impact the services needed in our aging schools, such as updated ventilation system, plumbing, security cameras, etc. If you can give us an idea, at least, so it would be very helpful.
Well, the first that I'm sorry to say I don't have a good handle on yet, because as I said, we don't own the building. We were still in negotiations, and we don't have a design. So the cost will be determined by the cost of the land and the cost of the design. So that's something that is still being worked on and will be for a little bit now. And as far as the impact on the other needs of your community, this will not have an impact at all on those needs. These are two separate pots of the money. These are for we're replacing an existing school that needs to be replaced. And I think the first part of your question was sort of answered earlier. The reason, the motivation for this, it's simple. The school's lease is coming up, and we have 800 children that need a place to learn. So it's our job to find it in time.
So let me ask a question, which is not part of the question that we actually shared with you. So when was the time, or how long was it that the idea came from DOE, you met and you say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to build a school? When exactly that decision, took place? When that was decided? As
we said, as I mentioned before, this lease came up. The lease originally was terminated on, I think, Mike and Gail, please jump in if I say anything wrong, in 2019. 2019, the lease was done. We went to the landlord. We said, we'd like to renegotiate a long-term lease here. The landlord said no. The landlord gave us 5 years. And that means that your lease is coming up in 2024 presently. And the landlord made it very clear to us at the time that that would be it. His plan is to develop his property. So then we started looking at that time back in 2019. We have been looking at properties since then. And we have looked, and we outlined, I think, 4 or 5 in that list to you of the main contenders. And we found, again, that this was the best of the lot.
And if I may just
So
add,
go ahead.
add into the answer that was done. It was agreed to renew the lease for the 5-year term in conjunction and in consultation with the chancellor's office. So they were aware at the time that we were going to fight to get a short-term extension over the landlord's desire to not release the site so that we could afford the time to find a new location for a new school for these two organizations. So it was done. This decision was made in conjunction with the chancellor's office.
Okay, Ms. Maldonado, I want to just take one step back and really thank you, because I'm not sure that I acknowledged you at the beginning. I didn't see your name, but I apologize for that. But welcome and thank you for just responding. So yes, let me go back to the next question. That question is I already sent you that question in advance. But this has to do, you say that in 2019 was when you basically, you spoke with the landlord and you learned that, or DOE or both of you learned that the landlord wasn't willing to renew the lease. So if we take 1 year back, so I understand that according to the mayor office, they report issue back on August 2nd, 2018, and there was a request for proposal under the title Inwood, a New York City Point of Agreement, and in that agreement they mentioned the property 4095 9th Avenue, and what they were proposing in there is that they are going to build an Inwood Innovation Hub, which is basically that was going to be focused on a STEM talent solution. So to make to go directly to the point is, what we're wondering is if this new school proposal and the fact that I don't know if they're going to be, what's going to happen to that particular property. So is the new school proposal and the lack of the lease renewal for PS 18 and 278 may have something to do or is related to this RFP?
No, this is purely a replacement for two organizations. This particular replacement site has nothing to do with the RFP that issued by the city.
And do you know what is going to happen, with those buildings? Are these buildings set to be for demolition?
Don't think we have that information.
It's privately owned by a private entity, not affiliated with the city of New York. We're simply their tenant. And what their intentions are with their property, we have no idea.
And let's say that DOE said, okay, they sell, or they already have sold the property, and eventually they wanted to come up with something like that, because they already mentioned that something is going to happen, around that property or with that property. I don't know. We don't know yet. They have a way to work things out, in their way. So I wonder, in the event that they may come up with that building, is that something that you think that you're going to be constructing? Because most of the construction, if not all, school construction authority is the one that built for DOE. Is that correct?
We do the building for DOE, yes, but I'm sorry, I don't think I understand your question.
Yeah, what I'm asking you is, okay, Ms. Mandato already expressed that she doesn't know what's going to happen with the PS.
Right.
The school, with the actual property. All of you know so far is that they're not willing, the landlord's not willing to renew the lease.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, since in 2018, okay, a year after you learned that it's going to be a new school built. So I wonder if DOE decide to purchase that site, this is hypothetical. So do you think that that you might be you're going to be the one building that building or whatever they decide to build in there? And let's say that they might going to be building the STEM talent solution that they are talking about.
Well, I don't think if it's not a school, we don't build it. So I don't know what this STEM center is going to be or where it's going to be. So at this time, we have no involvement in that project. I couldn't tell you who would build it. It wouldn't be us, because we're only allowed to build schools.
So, okay, so basically you only focus in the construction of the new school. You have
Right.
nothing to do with, with the old, where the school, the site for the school.
No, if it's not a school, we don't touch it.
It's a privately owned site. It's not owned by the city of New York. It's a privately owned site. So we have no ownership, interest, or control. We are simply a tenant in a privately owned space in that location. If at some point in the future it becomes available for sale and we have a funded seat need, we would certainly look at that site as we look at all available sites that meet certain minimum criteria. But as we sit here today, that property is owned by private individuals, not the city of New York, not any entity affiliated with the city of New York. So we have no authority to build anything on there right now.
All right. I think in your side, I have an idea so far, not completely, but, I want to also be fair to the time and the rest of the people that need to ask questions, but allow me just to ask at least 2 more questions. And probably this might be, I don't know if DOE or if you fix, whoever fixed the shoe, please wear. I wanted to say politely. So the next question that I have is, for example, our students and parents has been traumatized by the effects of the COVID, or the pandemic, all being, suffering one way or affected one way or another on this. So the death of the relative, food insecurity, and housing evictions are only some of the challenges that our community has to face. This will only exacerbate the trauma already experienced. So schools are not just building, and that's something very important to acknowledge. They are home to the children who attend and the family they serve. So the question on this, with this statement that come along, is how can this, I will say, how can you justify the decision to parents and community, moving them from one side to the other, or, how can you justify it? When I say how can you justify, I'm thinking in the sense that I'm not sure the DOE have pushed for the landlord sufficient to say, we have to take a face value of whatever you say. But at the same time, I wonder if they have pushed enough, or if they also had made the effort to perhaps find out another property nearby, not necessarily so far distant as to the other property that you are proposing, where you're proposing to build the schools. So
Faye, I understand your question, Faye, and my response to that is, how could we not? How could we not take this seriously and keep these kids together and move them to a beautiful new state-of-the-art school that will give them the things that they could never get in this location, with the exception of the fact that, yes, and I'm granting you this 100%, some folks will be inconvenienced. This new location is a plus in every other way. How could we not do what we are required to do, both fiscally and emotionally and morally, for these children? Every one of our kids in this city deserves a brand new state-of-the-art school. And I wish we could give every kid that, but we can do it for these children. And when they move, the best day of my year every year is walking in and standing at the entrance of our new school buildings and put my back against the wall and I don't say anything, because I want to see the face of those children and those parents light up when they see what we build. There is nothing that makes me prouder than our new schools. They are the best new schools that anybody builds in this country, and I will go to my grave believing that. And if you don't, I want you to at least go to our website, and if not, take a little bus trip and travel around these 5 boroughs, because every year we build anywhere from 5 or 6 to 18, 19, 24 schools, and every one of them is the best school that could be given. We have an opportunity here to give children who are really in need something that they will never get where they are. And this is something that I will not take a second to step back on. This is the best we can do, and we are morally obligated to do the best. And that's my answer to that. We've got to do this. First of all, we don't have any place to leave them. Second of all, if we did, it's not going to be nearly what they're going to get where they are. And if this landlord comes around and says, we'll give you another 5 years, you know what that gets you? 5 years of the status quo. Because according to the rules and according to the law, we're not even allowed to drop a dime in that building if we don't have more than 5 years left on a lease. So now the kids will have the status quo for at least another 5 years, and we will be no further along, and they will be in this old building. And all along, we could have given them the best, and they deserve the best. And so that's my speech, and I'm proud of it.
Well, yes, I'm very rhetoric, you know, and appreciate definitely, you know, your thoughts and the way you will articulate it. Yes. So let's see how it's going to get unfold. But I want two more questions. So before I exit my, you know, my question. So the next question that I have is, has DOE, and I guess this might go with the superintendent and also the deputy executive superintendent. So has the DOE created any strategy plan to inform parents and students about this proposal? And also offer it then any possible solution in case of anything or any unforeseen eventuality, you know, may occur. So if so, what would be that? Executive Rosales, yes. Oh, Mr. Ramirez, yes.
Yeah.
Should I repeat the question or it's fine?
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
The first question is about our communication process. Well,
yes.
You have to understand we are in a very, very stage of this plan. We are 3.5 years from actually the implementation of this, you know, this plan or to move into school. So this is part of the community outreach. SEA was also at the last EC meeting. I'm sure they are willing, because I know them very well, to, you know, to attend any community meeting that is necessary to continue answering questions, as many as we can answer now at this point. The other part of this is that, you know, once the SCA or the city has taken property or has taken ownership of a property and things are going to begin, we can definitely get and we will get a group of parents together to help us figure out what will be the services that are most needed. And we will continue the conversation with SCA. We have done it in the past, and like I am a former principal of a brand new building, and I participated in basically creating the educational opportunity that we need at the moment.
And Faye, maybe should we jump in
So-
here? You mentioned, I'm sorry,
Faye.
just let me just say just one word. You mentioned what would we do if something went wrong? And I would assume you mean not meet our construction and our schedule. I'm here to tell you right now, nothing will go wrong. The school construction authority does not miss opening dates.
No, I think I didn't say in your case. No.
Okay.
I'm going to repeat the question because it's
Sure.
important. Yes, just for the sake of the record. What I asked was, has the DOE created any strategy plan to inform parents and students about this proposal and also offer then possible solution in case of any unforeseen eventuality? If it's so, when and how is that? For example, let's say that they projected that they're gonna be moving sometime in September, but something not necessarily go as they projected, because sometimes things happen, circumstances may, you know, come along our way and we don't have control. Hurricane is a perfect example. I'm not predicting that something like that is going to happen, but just to trying to give you an analogy of what I'm trying to, the example of the idea that I'm trying to convey. So in that, a strategy plan that they should have in place as to how they're going to move a student from one place to another, So I wondering if they have already that particular plan in place, and if they also are thinking in case we have a plan B that things may not necessarily materialize the way we are planning. So that's why I say that that question is for D or E. Most likely, I would say, or maybe in conjunction.
So I don't anticipate any, as you put it,
unforeseen circumstances.
But if there is any, then we will definitely plan when we get to the point. We cannot think of a strategy right now because we cannot guess what that unforeseen circumstances might be. So I guess our response will have to be actually proportional to the circumstances you're referring to.
I do want to add something to that, because I think each school has their respective school leadership teams, and to Superintendent Ramirez's point around stages, I think each school leadership team will have to be part of these conversations. So it isn't just to communicate, but it is really to engage the families through the school leadership team to be part of the conversation. And the other thing I want to say on behalf of all DOE members here, if there were something significant to take place, no child would be left without a building, without a place, without a school. DOE would find a way to co-locate or whatever that might be. And I don't want to say those things right now because I trust Mike. I've always trusted Mike. If he says the job will get done, the job will get done. But know that the DOE will never, ever not have a school for our children.
If I could just interject.
I'm gonna add a little bit to what the Secretary Superintendent just said. That we want to engage parents, we want to empower parents. I already met with both principals.
That's the line of thought.
Principal Mejia. And I told them, start the conversation with your respective school communities so we can use this as an opportunity to actually ask for those facilities that we need and the things that are important to the community. So that's actually part of our plan to get everybody involved in this.
Right. So I'm glad you said that, Mr. Ramirez, because I was going to interject on Faye's question, because what I heard her asking is exactly that. How are you, reaching out to and engaging the parents and the students on this, not at the tail end, but early enough in the process so that their input is meaningful. But to that same question, the earlier series of questions about site selection, I think that's also an important question to pose, because whether you're building a school or a house or a playground, site selection, it's real estate. Once you pick the location, everything else runs from there. And the way this is working, you have gone through a process where you've picked the site, and that's kind of it. In Faye's scenario, you might have gone through the due diligence that, of course, you have to do, but you might have come to the parents and everyone else and said, well, it could be plan A or plan B. Here are the pros and cons of each, and what do you think? But that ability to have some say in where it goes in the way the process has been structured was cut out.
Well, if I might just add or respond to that comment, about a year or so ago, I chaired a request for proposals that went out in every single borough in many different communities at the request of City Council. We put it not only in real estate periodicals, but we also posted on community boards and CEC boards, and we did I think Twitter blasts, and we put it up on the SCA website and other places where we thought we could reach John Q. public. And we asked the public in every borough to submit sites to our website of any site that they were aware of that may be approximately 20,000 square feet or bigger, in a location with one street frontage, preferably two. And we gave a detailed analysis. And actually, Mike Miracole and I worked closely on getting that ad put together and put out and circulated, where we invited the public to submit sites, whether we needed them or not. And I personally reviewed most of what came into us. It would be impractical, however, for us to constantly go out to the public every time we started to look for a new school to give them a choice of sites to evaluate when they're not professionals. I'm not an engineer and I'm not an architect. I can identify real estate. That's what I do. And then I rely on my colleagues who are environmental consultants and architect consultants and construction consultants who can look at a piece of property and say, we can build on this safely. We can't build on this safely. There's ways to work around this site. There's reasons we should pass on the site. If we went out to, mom or dad and asked them, does this site work for you? Their consideration is in all likelihood going to be, well, it works for me because it's 5 blocks from my house, or it doesn't work for me because it's a half a mile from my home. So it really is appropriate, and it's statutorily acknowledged that we come to you now and say, this is what we've found. Here are the alternatives that we looked at, but we think this is the best. What do you think? And that's exactly why we're here tonight.
Right. And for, just for information, I am an architect with a few degrees and a few years of experience. But, my point is, and I think what I hear Faye saying, and I'm sure parents would agree, no one is saying that SCA shouldn't do its due diligence. And I believe I use that exact term, that after having done your due diligence, there's almost never just one site. It happens, but after you've done your due diligence, there can be better and worse sites. But if you were to come to the end users at that point and say, we've got site A and site B, these are the pros and cons for each, you are not bringing them, any sites where it's an environmental hazard. You're not bringing them sites that you cannot work with. You're bringing them sites that you've determined you can work with. You may have preference for one or the other, but you're bringing them something, in each case, that's doable and getting their input. And I don't think proximity is something to be dismissed.
That's right. It's very important, if not highly important. Yes, it is. Thank you, Wayne, for actually reshaping my question. So hopefully, it's better understood. Thank you. And my very, very last question also, this has to do, I believe, with is for DOE as well. So as you know, the idea of sharing a building may seem like a clear solution, but if one school obtains more space than the other, which might lead to disagreement or even, animosity among teachers, parents, and students, right? So this situation is an issue that commonly remains unexamined in many cases. So my question here is, does the DOE have a plan to prevent the situation? And if it's so at least I would like to hear how exactly you want to deal with that. This is about one school having more space than other, and there might be a disagreement. This is like the essence of what is at the center of this question.
Well, Faye, I want to call to your attention that we have multiple sites that are with co-located schools, ES 192 and MS 209, Muscora and Amistad. MS 52 is co-located with 2 high schools. The Salome Ureña building. Everywhere you look at, we have plenty of experience working with more than one school, multiple schools, utilizing the same building. So the distribution of space varies very fair in the sense that we do it proportional to the school register, proportional to student population, and we identify common spaces like the auditorium, the gymnasium, right? And we do a discussion among professionals, including the principals, So how are we going to utilize those facilities? Make no mistake, the schools are co-located right now, even though the buildings have different number. They use the same gym, they use the same auditorium. So I don't see a reason why would this change if we're going to a bigger, better place. So we should um, be able to sit down and do a fair distribution of space and time of usage.
And Faye, may I add to that? May I just add something to that, what Manny just said? You know, in an existing building that was probably built for one organization, you have a difficult operation. You have to find space for administrative space, and you're sharing and dividing up, and people get very territorial, and it's a difficult thing. You're starting here with a clean slate. You're starting from scratch, and you're starting with a brand new building and a brand new design. And the superintendent, the executive superintendent, and the principals will all be involved in that. And this is the best of both worlds. You're going to get something here that is not only brand new and wonderful and state of the art, you're going to be able to design it for what works. And it's an opportunity that you get once. You only get once when the building is new. So it's an exciting time to be a principal. Principals, and it's work, a little extra work for them because they have to be involved in the design, but it pays off big time.
Well, we just hold that internal space and among so many issues that comes along with co-located. The good thing is here that I see is that at least it's not a charter school with a traditional school. It's the same kind of a system, you know. But I know that when come to a space, for example, PS18 might be accustomed to have their, you know, much space and perhaps the rooms where they're going to be moving, they may not have that buoyancy. They may not have that, you know, that much space as they wish, and vice versa with the other school. So, or maybe one of the schools may have more space than the other and so forth. All I'm trying to see is that there is a plan for this in which they both perhaps are going to be happy about whatever they're going to be getting if, you know, of course, the deal, you know, flies, which I definitely wish the best. And it seems to me that given the circumstances that they don't have more choice in terms of the renewal of the lease, this is something that seems to projecting in the direction that the school is going to be built. But with that in mind, let's see what the parents, we're going to proceed now to allow the principal. We would like to hear what the principal have to say. And then we are going to allow the parents to speak, because I think it's very important. As a matter of fact, I think that not only this meeting necessarily should be a determined factor in terms of, you know, providing open this conversation to the public, but I think that we should have other conversation in schools and educate those parents as to exactly what is on the table. And I highly encourage principal to take that route, because this is highly important, and we can learn from them exactly, you know, what is in their mind, what do they think about that, because yeah, it's like moving to a new house, but the fact that you move into a new house not necessarily means that might be best choice, because there is a reason why you're moving, and you always expect for the best. But in this case, they are moving because there is a problem, or maybe an unforeseen situation in which the landlord you know, don't want to renew the lease for them, which is something different. And I'm pretty sure that they would love to stay where they are. That's my assumption, of course. But let's see how this is going to play out, and let's move forward with the rest of the question. So I want to thank you for answering my question, at least, you know, for my colleague. We also expect that if it's possible that you send those answers and those questions that we submitted. And let's have this an open, how do you call that? We can continue this conversation. And now I'm going to call Aquino, my colleague, to see. Unfortunately, I want to apologize for her, because unfortunately she couldn't be on time. But I want to give her at least the opportunity so she can continue and start calling so she can introduce herself and calling the phase of the questions. So again, I wanted to thank you. So let's proceed with the principal and the in our students. So Wayne, thank you as well. Glennie, you wanna take the rest of the meeting?
Hi, Faith. Thank you for doing the first part of the meeting. How did you want to move forward? I'm okay with
Well,
you continuing to take on the questions.
We are in the phase of the agenda where we asking questions. So now we want to call the principals. I believe we have Principal Miss Mejia, and we also have Principal, I think, Velasquez. Yes. So if you kindly please call each of them.
I don't have access
Identify yourself.
to calling people to let them speak.
What was that?
I don't have access to let people speak. So do you want to just continue?
I think Chanel can.
Miss,
Let me then. Okay. Okay.
I'm representing Miss Mejia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. We can hear.
Okay. My name is Desiree Ramos. I'm representing Miss Mejia.
Hang on one second. Hang on one second. Let's just figure out how we're going to move forward.
Glennie, you're going to have her introduce. She's going to speak about the situation that she already is aware of. And then after her, we're going to have Principal, I think it's Velasquez from 278 and so forth. Once the two principal speaks, we are going to conceal the floor. We're going to call the parents. But I'm with you, go ahead.
Okay. So my name is Desiree Ramos, and I'm representing Ms. Mejia from PS 18. Is everybody listening to me?
Yes, we are listening.
Okay. All right. So she's currently attending to her early mother, and we will continue to inform parents and staff of any information and accurate updates in this process. With the information that we have at this point, it will be a welcome to a school community and a welcome a safe, inclusive, and state-of-the-art building for all the families involved. As we move in this process, initial conversations are favorable to date. Looking forward to more accurate information. That's from Ms. Mejia at this point. I do have one concern that I would like Mr. Michael Mirasol. Normally, if with what Faye Florimar had said, so in a situation that we're up to the 3 years and we can't go in for another month or two into the building, normally these leases have stipulations that I know that in our building they're not demolishing right away. So can we pay it month by month until it's proper to move into a new site?
We'll be ready for you to move in September of 24.
No, I understand. I'm just looking at because I did work in construction and real estate. So that's, they always have, if you can't move for whatever reason, a pipe or whatever, or a permit, that they give us in the stipulation month to month.
Well, I can't speak to this landlord or what he'll allow or not allow, but we don't anticipate being in that position. We are going to get you. We are going to get you into that building on time.
Thank you.
That's just it.
All right. You finish your statement, Ms. Mejia? I mean, the representative from 210. All right. So let's allow then, and let's call Principal Ms. Vasquez. Is she's with us? PS 278. Chanel, can you allow Glennie to have access to the system, please?
She does.
Glennie? All right. So do we have a principal from 278? All right. Chanel, do we have also Melissa Williams on board?
Let me check.
Because I didn't see principal from 278. Okay. Okay. Please raise your
Seems like
hand.
she's not on
if
the
you
call
wanna
right now.
Huh?
It seems like she's not on the call right now.
She's not on the call. I was hoping, let's see her. I don't see her here. All right. This is what we are going to do. Unfortunately, if she doesn't appears before the meeting is over, I highly encourage parents and everyone to. I'm gonna add my email on the chat so people can send me any question or any concern, because it seems to me that not everybody will be able to speak tonight, unfortunately.
And Flo, please make sure that folks know that they can send those same questions and any, just their comments to our website. And because we want to log all that information in. That's why we're here to listen.
All right. Well, if you can put them on the chat, that would be good too as well, so people can copy that. Yes. You can.
Steve, would you throw that into the chat, sites at nycsea.org?
So we can definitely, you know.
Yeah, that'd be the best way. Come right to us.
All right. So.
And I did want to say something. If these meetings can also have interpreters, because we have a lot of Spanish, especially in PS 18.
Yes, we can translate right now.
Yeah, they need that, and we need to get them informed. So I already saw some of the comments, but the majority of our school, it's Spanish-oriented families.
What is the name of your parents? Are they, I'm trying to see then, what is the name of your parents?
The name of my parent, I don't know. Here, I was just looking at the comments and I was seeing that translations, but once we get into these meetings and we invite them, I need to be able, for them to be able to understand and have get their views to you and to all of us to participate.
Okay, so I was referring just now. Okay, Chanel, can you see Miss Williams?
Faye?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. There's a person who is actually standing in for her.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
This is Melissa Williams. Hi.
Okay, because there was a man that said it.
Yeah, it's my husband. We're a package deal.
Oh, good. Okay, sorry.
So do you guys, this is just a community organizing question. Do you guys always run your meetings like this? Because I can't see the number of participants and the name of the participants. Is this how you normally do this, or you're doing it like this today?
No, it's a uniform.
Okay, would you be able to tell me the number of participants that are on this call? I'm tracking it as a community organizer, and it's helpful to track.
Can you, for the record, can you identify yourself, please, first?
Hi, this is Melissa Williams. I'm a parent of 278 and a DOE employee.
Very good. Yes. So your question is the number of participants that we have?
Yes.
We have 71 participants so far.
And is that a normal number for you, or is that an increased number?
It just all depends.
But in general, an average.
If you want more details, like, we can speak on the side about that.
I would like my community members to know that we're here and that 71 is a large number. So I just want to thank them for showing up.
Okay.
I also had a visual that I wanted to show. Is there any way to give me access to my camera so that you could see me like we did at the CEC 6?
I am afraid that, oh gosh, this is just the last minute. Oh my goodness. How long is your...
You should be able to now. Sorry.
How long it will take the video? Hold on, Chanel, please. How long is the video? We lost her. Hello, Miss Williams?
Oh, you're muted.
No, she's
sorry.
there.
I
She's
just want
just
to hold
muted.
this up, and then you could turn me off again.
All right. Yes. All right.
So I think everybody on here is familiar with this graphic, the secret to successful schools for the DOE. And as a school therapist in this district, I feel like this whole process. As a parent working for the DOE and just surviving the pandemic, I feel that this is not being followed right now, and I'm very frustrated. The outside is trust, okay? And so when strong family and community ties are not built by, for example, not having translation available, the trust is broken. When one of our members goes to the land use committee meeting and it basically becomes clear that the CBA tried to circumvent the little subcommittee meetings, then trust is broken. When we aren't engaged in the process of choosing a new school site, and when our concerns are minimized, trust is broken. I had to work really hard not to show the exact social studies standards that the history of New York real estate is addressed by, but it's fourth grade New York history and all of Regents US history. So at the CEC meeting, when we're told things like the landlord's desires to use his building are none of our concern, or we don't have the quote unquote luxury to get down into the nitty gritty about the school community, that's a trust issue. That's a school community ties issue. And it makes it really difficult, very difficult to trust this process when it's not transparent. That's about all I have to say, but I'm trying to model to my sixth grade 278 son what it looks like to put social studies curriculum and those critical thinking skills into action. And so when in this process, it's undemocratic. And the entire reason why we have school buildings is to teach children the curriculum. That's why they exist. So when I feel like I can't model to my son what it looks like to be an adult putting that stuff in action, it's beyond frustrating. I appreciate, Mr. Mirasola, that your tone is a little more conciliatory this time, because a few of the things that were said at the CEC meeting last time, they're just like burrowing into my brain. I can't stop thinking about them. And
I think
that's it. Thank you for your time. As you can see, I'm very frustrated.
Yes, I can understand. I can understand and definitely respect your opinion. Chanel, we have, and thank you for joining us. We will take note of your comments. I also want to encourage you that if you have any further, thoughts on the issue or any information that you wanted to convey us, please feel free to send me a note. You have my email and or phone number, whichever way, but I think in writing, it's highly advisable. So Chanel, we have Daniel William from 278 as well. Can you bring him, please? Can you promote him? Daniel Peña, that's his name. Daniel Peña. Yes, he is Daniel. Yes, Daniel. Mr. Peña, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Peña. I'm the school dean for PSMS 278, and I am representing Ms. Velasquez. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend. Pretty much, she informed me to share with you that at this point, she needs more details, more information about this whole project. As Mr. Ramirez stated, he is meeting with both principals. One of the things that she is concerned and would like more information and more details is about the location, understanding that Con Ed is in the area. What does that mean in terms of safety, environment, etc.? So those are a few questions that she has and that we are concerned about. But as of right now, again, like Mr. Ramirez stated, he is meeting with both principals and opportunities are going to come to speak with the community as well, to the school community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peña. Yes. How about PS 18? By the way, Chanel, can you help Gabriela? I think Gabriela is having problem. She cannot unmute herself. Can you please give her a hand on that? Yes. It's anyone from PS 18? Any parents? Okay. Anybody else? I didn't see
Hi,
any
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Miss BL.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
And
Identify yourself, please, for the record.
I just wanted to know whether the construction and the location.
I'm sorry, Miss
Final.
BL. Excuse me, Miss BL.
I'm listening.
Yes, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Born and bred in Inwood. Also have children at PS 278. I also attended PS 98 and also had a sibling attend PS 5, which is a very long distance from most residents and is also dangerous crossing either over the bridge or across that heavy traffic there. So it's not as nice or a quick commute or especially in the winter. So there are many different points of views here in the community. But my question is the design and location of the new site, when will that be finalized? And when do you expect PS 278 to close down? When can parents expect, what sort of timeline are we looking at?
The process for obtaining this structure, this property is ongoing now. That's why we're out here listening to what you folks have to say. So that has not been finalized. We're, as I said at the onset, we'll be taking your comments to the end of the month, and then we will assess those. We will speak to the school community, the principals, the superintendent, and your elected officials. And if all is well, and if this looks like a site that we want to proceed with, or we can proceed with, we'll go to the city council, and we'll have to get their approval, and then we can make the purchase. We don't own it. So, and since we don't own it, obviously we don't have a design at this time. So no, those things, nothing has been finalized yet.
One more question, and thank you for your reply. What sort of noise mitigation do we have in place for the PS 5? There's going to be a lot of construction there.
I'm sorry, for the existing building?
For the new construction, which is roughly a block away from PS 7, so noise mitigation.
If I'm understanding you correctly, you mean the brand new building, will there be noise mitigation? Will there be for the, because there'll be construction going on around the building? Is that correct? Am I understanding it?
I think she refers to, she said PS7, but I think she's referring to PS5.
PS5.
Yes, thank you.
I see. So this building is actually, we at school construction are pretty good at this. We do it every day all over the city. In fact, right now we're building quite a few additions and annexes in school playgrounds because we're so overcrowded in the outer boroughs. In this case, we'll be quite far away. So the construction noise impact on PS5 would be negligible. But that said, we do a lot more than any other construction crew erecting a building anywhere near or adjacent to a school. Because they're our children, and because the DOE is our client, we work hand in hand with the existing principal, and we schedule our work so that we have the least impact that we possibly could have on the existing school, scheduling things around tests, scheduling things around classes and such. We do the very best we can. We do work during construction hours, normal construction hours, But if there's something that's going to be impactful for the students, we will find a way to schedule that so it doesn't impact the children.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, okay, the next person we have is Janilda Rodriguez. She's a parent from PS 18. Janilda, can you unmute yourself, please? And for me,
Okay.
sí, probably,
Buenas
right?
noches.
Identify yourself, please. Although
¿Me puede traducir, Miss Limón?
Sí, por favor.
¿Me puede traducir? Ok, ok,
Sí,
gracias.
habla en español.
Soy Janilda Rodríguez, soy la presidenta de la... Ok, soy la presidenta de PS18, bueno, de la Asociación de Padres.
Yes, okay. Déjame decir eso. Her name, as you can see, she's Janilda Rodriguez. She is the president for the Parent Association at PS18. And I'm going to add it up that she used to be a member of the CEC, although she doesn't say, but I know her. Yes, go ahead. And thank you for, for
Okay, okay. Como padres estamos emocionados, diría yo, porque son más las ventajas que las desventajas. Nuestro principal objetivo es darle es que los niños tengan clases de calidad, y creo que en este nuevo edificio va a ser posible eso.
So she seems to be very happy with the project, and she feels that in the new school, the advantage that she sees that the quality, I guess, environment is much different, and she see all that is going to be, much better compared to where she is. That's what she's saying literally, yes.
Sí, tendremos más espacios, tendremos ya salones dedicados a tecnología, a arte. Lo que quisiera saber es que si los padres pueden opinar de qué necesita la escuela, si le pueden dar esa opción a los padres.
She feels that is the advantages of the new school is going to offer in the term of technology, more space, and she also wants to know if, ¿qué es lo que dijiste? Que si los padres que pueden, ¿qué?
Pueden opinar en qué necesita la escuela en la construcción.
Okay, she wants to know if the parents can provide their opinions in regarding the construction. I take the liberty to say, of course. Seguro que sí. Anyway, Ms. Marisola, she want to hear from you, I guess.
So we would like to hear what you want in your school. Of course, we'll be working directly with the principal, and the principal has the option, and I hope the principals will get parent feedback and have parents involved in that conversation. So that's what we do that all the time. Our experience is luckily that most everything you folks ask for, we're happy and willing and excited about giving you anyway. So of course, we'll be listening.
Ellos estarían bien contentos de oír los testimonios de los padres, por supuesto, y de esto se trata, que los padres tengan la oportunidad de ellos proveer, tú sabes, su opinión. So, definitivamente, él le da la bienvenida a los comentarios que los padres tengan.
Gracias.
Ok, gracias a ti también. ¿Eso es todo? ¿Hay más padres de tu escuela? Okay, so maybe that's not a question for you. Yes, just say thank you. All right. All right. So do we have anybody else from 278, PS18? Hopefully PS18. Who else do we have? Let's see. I don't see no hands raised here. Yes, Maria Luna. Yes, Maria. Absolutely, Maria. Sorry, how you doing? Te mando un beso grandote.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you so much. Someone wrote on the chat, what's happening with Maria Luna? Well, I'm listening from the beginning about how interesting this meeting is, but I have to focus in two parts. One about the construction of the school, and once the school is constructed, the quality of the education, which I think that the Youth and Education Committee should have focused more. Wayne Benjamin, as the Land Use Committee, have to deal with the land use, construction, and the requirements that are based on what the city and the Department of Education have plans for us. So as an architect, he knows a lot. I'm also very happy to hear the parents that are asking key questions, such as what type of education our children are going to receive once this particular school is built. Quiero decirle a los padres que están oyendo que mi foco esta noche es dos partes. Una, acerca de la construcción de la escuela, que se limita, tenemos un comité del sitio donde se va a construir esta escuela, y Wayne Benjamin es uno de los mejores arquitectos que tenemos en esta comunidad, y él va a hacerle frente a este proyecto. Pero en este comité de educación, nosotros debemos enfocar en la calidad de la educación para nuestros niños. Y yo creo que los padres tienen la oportunidad, no solamente ahora, sino ya cuando este proyecto esté en comienzo. Yo sé que el superintendente tiene unas buenas ideas de cómo ellos van a enfocar la educación. Yo, como miembro de este comité, as a committee member, I am interested that not only the location of the school, but also the surrounding areas, las áreas alrededor de la escuela. ¿Cuál es la protección que hay, la seguridad? What is the protection for once the school is built? The construction is going to be in a highly used area. I'm concerned about the surrounding areas, as far as buildings, and are they going to have, open spaces for, the community, and how that is going to be used between the school and the children of the school and the community. So I wish all of you, really the best. I think this is a great project. I am not really that focused on the what is really happening right now. This is taking, we don't even own the property yet, right? So I think it is a long way from 2021 to 2024. And I think that I urge the parents, yo le pido a los padres que se mantengan unidos para que ustedes tengan entonces el derecho a pedir qué es lo que ustedes necesitan para sus hijos, y no que otras personas y otras agencias le pongan a ustedes entonces algo que a lo mejor no es conveniente para la educación. Buenas noches. Thank you so much.
Well, I guess that was for the bilingual population, parents in particular. Thank you, Maria. Yes, I wanted to also call Natalie Espino from the Board of President office. Natalie, please.
Yes, Faye, you had said that you were asking to see if there were other parents, and I'm seeing many parents waiting in the attendees with their hands up, and also many parents have added questions to the Q&A. Are you going to be asking SCA those questions on their behalf so that they can answer them here in this meeting?
Yes, I am. It is so much to go through, but I'm going definitely to try my best. I was trying to get then
we're all here to help.
All right. So that's what you wanted to say, or you want to add it up your comment as well? So
no, the Borough President's office, we're here to listen. So I want to make sure that we get to these parents, and I know that it's a lot to manage on the Zoom, but just we're all here to help.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Well, I wanted to say, and let me say this in Spanish because many of the questions, in the chat, and thank you, for bringing that to our attention. Para los padres que están escuchando, sí tenemos traducción, por favor. Definitivamente, si ustedes quieren, no sé si ustedes tienen acceso a levantar la mano, pero, por ejemplo, tenemos aquí, let's see, let me start right here. Let's see, Yvette Sanchez. Chanel, can we promote Yvette Sanchez? And Jenny Hernandez. Okay, Miss Sanchez. Let's see, Ms. Sanchez. Is Ines Sanchez with us? Chanel?
Is it Miss Sanchez? Is that her name here? Like Miss Sanchez or
Yeah, Miss
Yvette?
Sanchez, yeah, she's been with us since
Okay.
yeah, she's from PS 278, yes. We also, Jenny Hernandez as well.
Yes, aquí estamos.
Yes, Jenny okay, yes. Let's start with, let's see. Yvette, is Yvette with us? Can you unmute yourself, please? Okay, so let's then go to Jenny Hernandez. Ms. Hernandez, can you unmute yourself, please? Chanel. Oh, yes, okay. Ms. Hernandez. Jenny? Jenny Hernandez, yeah, please identify yourself and ask your question, please.
Una de mis preguntas era por la traducción en español, porque...
Está bien. Identifícate quién eres, de qué escuela viene, y yo haré la traducción. Glenny actually can help me. Glenny, can you help with us? I mean, can you help me?
Okay. Mi nombre es Jenny Hernández, soy de la escuela PFI, ¿verdad? Parte de...
¿De qué escuela?
De la PFI, de la PTA.
De la escuela, ok, 5, ok.
Sí, copresidenta.
Sí, pero tú eres de la escuela, ¿cuál de las dos escuelas que estamos discutiendo tú eres? Tú eres ¿cómo se llama tu escuela?
De la PFI.
PS5, ok, PS5, all right, sí.
No, era una pregunta sobre la traducción, pero de lo que pude entender y otra pregunta era he estado escuchando y sé que los mayores que están participando son las personas de la otra escuela, pero por la construcción que va a ser cerca de la escuela en la que estamos, ¿verdad? El temor es que una escuela llama más padres para una escuela nueva. Entonces, ¿qué va a pasar con nuestra escuela? Puede bajar matrícula. Entonces, yo estoy muy contenta con mi escuela. Mis hijos han estado ahí desde Head Start. Entonces, esa es mi preocupación. ¿Qué van a hacer con eso? Gracias.
Ok, gracias a ti, Jenny. Okay, Jenny Hernandez, she's from PS5. She's the school next to where the new school is projected to be built. And she expressed concern because she said that as a result of a new school, she's afraid that the enrollment in her school may decrease. So what advice do you have for her? I guess that DOE? Somebody, yes?
Señor Hernández, lo más importante para una escuela mantener su asistencia, ¿no? La cantidad de estudiantes que tienen, su registro.
Así es.
No es si hay otra escuela cerca, es la calidad de los programas que esa escuela está implementando. Si la escuela PS5 está implementando programas de calidad, las personas, los padres y las familias van a estar contentas con la escuela. Usted misma dijo que estaba contenta con la escuela. De manera que usted es un ejemplo de alguien que está contento con la escuela y que se va a quedar con la escuela. No importa cuántas escuelas estén en el área. Nosotros entendemos eso, lo vemos como una posibilidad, pero ya yo me reuní con el principal de la escuela y le dije, tenemos 3 años para trabajar, para seguir trabajando, porque la escuela ha estado mejorando desde hace varios años, para seguir trabajando, mejorando las condiciones académicas de la escuela, creando nuevas iniciativas, abriendo la escuela los sábados y programas de tutoría, haciendo programas de arte y de educación física. Seguir mejorando la escuela. Eso es lo que determina el tipo de la asistencia de la escuela.
Ok. Ms. Hernández, su pregunta fue contestada. So,
Gracias.
siempre. So, David Thumb is asking, David Thumb, how could a community member have made a site submittal when the community had no idea you were looking for a site? Well, I guess more than a question.
Gail, do you want to explain, or shall I? I'm happy to. As I don't think Gail can unmute, so I'll take that, I think. As Gail mentioned to you, Gail put out a circular in Twitter in the newspapers and all the real estate journals and to community boards, and put it on as many, and we both did, on as many postings as we possibly could find a short time ago, during the time when we were looking for this site, asking for sites all over the city. So this was something that was done and is done on a continuous basis. I'm not sure how, and word goes through communities in many, many different ways. When we were looking quite seriously at another site, I got quite a few letters from community members and calls telling me that the site we were looking at was, they felt was unsafe because of its location and traffic problems. So we get those requests, and that website that I suggested folks send us their comments to is also the website where we take our comments, and we take site referrals all year round, and it lights up 365 days a year. So this process has been going on for quite some time. So it is possible that folks did know and do know, and because I did personally receive referrals in that way.
All right. Well, I think given to the time essence here, I guess that we perhaps will not be able to answer all these questions, but we're definitely going to do our best to see what we can do. I'm going to put my information on the chat, and so I can forward the questions to the School Construction Authority and the DOE as well.
Sorry,
and we have David Thumb here. David?
Yeah, sorry, can I just speak as a parent rather than through the chat?
Okay, I can give, make it brief.
2 minutes.
Okay, wonderful,
Okay.
yes.
And I'd like to share my screen, but that's probably not possible, so I'll just speak. But so my name is Dave Tom. I've been a parent at 278 since 2013. I still am. My family will have graduated by the time of this move, but I'm very concerned about it. We listened to a presentation tonight to relocate 900 students in 2 schools a mile away, and yet the SCA has not shown a single map. That tells you how flawed this process has been to date. If I could share my screen, I'd show you a map of all the schools in Inwood to show you how utterly bizarre this location that's proposed is. The attitude from SCA that, for some it's farther, for some it won't be, and to quote them from the CEC meeting, well, you can't please everyone. I mean, that attitude is disrespectful. Please show us the data. How many families will have to go farther, and how much farther? Is it a net positive or is it not? I suspect in this case it's not, at least not for PSMS 278. Might well work for PS 18, but again, we're not being shown the data. Do you know how many buses come to PSMS 278 every morning? 3. That's it. That's it for a school of 558 students. Everyone else walks or is dropped off by a parent in their car. And yeah, it's not a great area next to the car wash, but the geography works for many families who want to attend their local school. Those families will have to travel much farther to the new location, past a dozen other DOE schools, charter schools, and religious schools. It's unacceptably far away. It's not even in the school zone. It's in PS5 school zone. And it leaves no middle school north of 207, and only one DOE school, PS98, can handle the population of 8,000 people today, and maybe 15,000 people after the rezoning builds out. So I'm sure the SCA can build 2 very nice new schools at the proposed site, but because of the geography, it's effectively closing the 2 current schools and it's opening 2 new ones somewhere else. That is the issue. And the SCA keeps using the co-location as an excuse, but there's no actual operating reason to co-locate. The schools function entirely separately. And this, I think, is a primary reason why they're saying other sites can't be found. To the real estate folks on this call, the entire commercial U of Inwood along Broadway, along 207th, it was not upzoned. It has lower land values, but it offers a large zoning bonus for community facilities under the R72 zoning. I really find it hard to believe there's no landlord with a one-story, half-empty taxpayer building on a 15,000 square foot lot that won't sell to you. And look, charter schools built or are building six schools in Inwood in the recent years, 4 of them since 2019. But the SDA claims that they can't find 2 sites for DOE schools. So look, the story doesn't hold up, especially when I hear the elected officials were perhaps involved. So to the extent that any feedback, resolutions, or decisions are resulting from tonight, I really ask you as a community member and a parent, reject this site and send the SDA back to the drawing board to find 2 separate sites closer to the existing schools. This proposed location may work, as Mr. Marcelo said, in every other way except location. But come on, I mean, do I really have to say this? Location, location, location. This is a debate about location. This location, I'm quite sure the data will show, does not work. Thank you.
Fred, I want to say that Rebecca Alicea, Family Support Coordinator from our office, is on the call. She's taking notes. And I want to say to the community to feel free to send me emails. But at this point, I'm going to have to jump off this call because I have family business to attend. All right, thank you.
Take care, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time, Mr. Ramirez. So let's see if we can take, if you can bear with those just one more, just give us at least just a few more minutes, and I promise you I will let you go. So we have Elisa Vanderline. Elisa, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, good evening. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, for the record, my name is Elisa Vanderlyn. I'm a parent of PS278. So I'm going to keep it brief because I know it's late. Mr. Mirisola, I heard you and I know that your heart is in the right place. But you stated at the beginning that you identified and selected sites based on your professional judgment of the SCA staff. This process without any input from parents, it did not include your client, your customers, and those are us, the parents, the students. If this process was done right the way you said, and when you spoke from the heart, you should not have a problem releasing the backup documentation that you used to select the sites. So I think that we deserve that. I don't think that you took everybody's thoughts and consideration into this process. Ms. Mandaro, if you're still on the call, I was shocked when you stated that you felt parents did not bring any value to this process, but that we represented an obstacle. Let me tell you that I am a city planner, architect by training, and I have been in public service for over 20 years. So I have been through the same process that you are currently going through, and this is appalling. I mean, I'm even getting nervous on this call because I cannot believe the words you said on this call. So I ask for your apology to all of us. We are your clients, your customers, and nobody has assured me the questions as to why schools cannot be decoupled, PS 18 and 278, if this gives us more options. Like other parents on this call have said, I want to see how our community is going to be impacted. PS 5 is a great community, it's a great school, but it's not serving our zone where we live. And the reason I moved here is because of that school, okay? So you're impacting the livelihood of us parents in many ways. So that's all. Thank you.
If I might, Ms. Vanderlyn, misunderstood or misinterpreted anything that I said tonight, I'm terribly sorry about that. I don't think I said, and I certainly didn't mean to imply that parents are irrelevant. Parents are certainly not irrelevant. Our clients ultimately are all of the children of the city of New York. And all I tried to suggest is that with the best of professional input from environmentalists, architects, and engineers staffed by the SCA, we minimize the options and come to you, the parents of these children, to opine about a site that we believe to be appropriate. We are not excluding and never intend to exclude you from the process. You are the process. That is why we hold these meetings and we attend community board meetings and CEC council meetings for this purpose, to elicit the input of the parents of the children of the city of New York. So if you interpreted anything I said to be different than that, please accept my apologies. That is not my intention.
Thank you. So you have no problems in releasing the documentation that you used to identify the site, because I believe me, it is not the right site.
All
It's
right.
not.
Okay, we need to move forward. I appreciate it, Ms. Vanderline, for your comments.
Y lo puedo decir en español también, porque soy más dominicana que muchas de las personas que están en esta llamada esta noche. Gracias.
Okay, well, appreciate it. Okay, now next online is David Rivera. Yes, David.
Yes, hi. This is actually Jasmine del Valle from 6.
What?
Identify yourself, please. Ms. Rivera?
Yes, can you hear me?
David Rivera, yeah. What is your name, please? Can you identify yourself for the record?
So again, I was saying this is actually Jasmine del Valle from the CEC 6. But for some reason, when I logged into Zoom, it's showing up with my son's name.
Okay, so you, Ashley.
Oh, wait.
Okay, Ashley what?
No, Jasmine del Valle from CEC 6.
Jasmine del Valle, okay, perfecto. Go ahead, please.
I'm from the CEC.
Okay, Jasmine del Valle, all right.
I have many concerns.
Jasmine, did you represent any school or just from CC you said, right?
Yeah, from the CEC 6.
CC 6, okay, wonderful. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I know that they made the presentation already at the CEC, but I still have many concerns. Sorry. So one, I could say, I'm concerned that there is no plan B in case of the school cannot open in September. The fact that because of COVID, we've had to stop so many different construction sites. We don't know what's going to happen in September or any of the following years. We don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm also concerned that when you say that you had put out the word that you needed a new construction site to different places, not all parents are going to read emails. Not all parents are going to read in certain areas that you put these publications out. The fact that you never even went to the actual school, to the actual SLT meeting, to the principals, to the PTA of the schools is very concerning, because if anything, that should have been the first place that you had gone to spoken about, listen, there's an issue, we're gonna have to close the school, we have to have a new location. That should have been the first place. Do you guys have an idea of where it should be, of what's gonna happen with their actual school, with the parents from that school and the staff? So that is very concerning to me. And we've asked you before about data, and if I remember correctly, you guys said there was no data. And I still don't know any data of environmental or any type. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rivera. Yes. Well, I give this more like a comment, I would say. So we have also Joanna Garcia. Joanna Garcia.
Hi, I'm here. I was just waiting for the unmute.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Faye, and hi,
Hello.
rest of the members. So I'm here, I guess, representing Senator Jackson's office. Hi, Steve, and I guess just an education activist. I wasn't privy to the presentation. I think it's a sad state of affairs that Senator Jackson's office has yet to see directly what those plans look like, along with the data. Even that, there was a scouting process for sites, or there were issues with renewing the lease. Incredibly backwards that parents from these community schools found out second or third hand. But I do have questions. Those are my comments, but my questions are, what are the zoning lines going to look like, since geographically you're kind of in the zoning turf of PS5? So I'm curious as to what the zoning lines are going to look like for the parents, and what is the process going to be in terms of timeline and involving the CEC in that process, and CEC has jurisdiction over approving those new zoning lines. And when you were scouting for sites, did you actually send it to the CECs, to the CEC 6 to share with the parents, or did you share with the parent leadership of PS 18 as well as PS 278 so that they can also assist in finding locations?
I'm not sure who can speak to zoning. I know Manny's not on the call anymore, so that's not
Unfortunately,
something we can handle.
Well,
I don't know to that.
well, what you want to do, maybe is just send us the your comments, and we're going to incorporate all this information in our minutes, but we perhaps can also send it to the superintendent and the executive superintendent. So for a follow-up and then get back to you, I can definitely, make
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you, Faye. I appreciate that. Even though it's a senator's office, I would like to hear directly from SCA. So am I understanding that you founded a site? You said, this is where we're going to do construction, but you didn't think about how the zoning lines were going to change, meaning the K-8 schools that are competing now with each other, now with PS5, how that was going to change? Like that doesn't,
Joanna,
like,
the zoning is not an SCA issue. I'm sorry. It's
I
not.
know that, Michael. I'm just wondering if the DOE is talking to each other. I know that's facilities, so I just want to get clarification. When SCA goes through this process, is there not a conversation with facilities, or even at this point with the superintendent, as to how that's going to impact zoning? Because I think that goes a little bit to Dave Tom's question, just a little bit, as to what will be the new catchment area for families.
I understand your question, and we do speak with district planning. We do speak with the superintendent's office, and over the time from now till the time when the school hopefully opens, those conversations will go on for them. We build the schools, they fill them schools. As you know, there are many, many schools throughout the city that are adjacent to or very close to other schools, because the hardest job we do, Joanna, the hardest thing we do in the city of New York, like all of you, like me, is find a location, is real estate. Real estate, especially in Manhattan, is the most difficult thing anyone can possibly do. And so locating a school sometimes means that it is close to another school. And that just is something that the folks in zoning have become very expert at working around and working with. I don't know how they do their job, so I'm sorry, but I can't answer that question. But I do know that if you just walk your own community and you walk any community in New York, you will find schools sometimes that are right next door to one another. And there are co-located schools. And so the folks that do that magic have their methodology, and I wouldn't begin to understand it because I'm not expert in that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, sorry. All right. So, well, it's already it's already 9:11. So, I guess Wayne. Hello, Wayne.
No, I don't have anything, more to add. What I've, learned from this conversation is many of the points raised, including the very last one, how is the catchment area impacted, are questions that are relevant not only to the land use committee, but also to the youth and education committee and to the parents and students. So there's tremendous overlap, and we need, sort of clarity and follow up on all this. And I guess the most important thing that I'm taking away from this is the ultimate users of the school need to have a far greater level of comfort with how we got from A to B.
All right. Well, I'm really, would like to suggest, but we pondered on this, and I just wondering if we should, based on the information that we have collected, tonight, perhaps we may want to move for a possible resolution, looking at the idea that whatever information further information that may remain pending. So at least to open up the floor for a motion to consider that. So what would be your thought on that?
Well, by March 29th, which is just after our March general meeting, that's the deadline for submitting comments. So there were a lot of comments that have already been generated because we shared them in writing, with the SCA. And, I think if Jim Berlin were on the line, if we're taking a specific position, that's a resolution, and the Youth and Education Committee can, discuss based upon, tonight's meeting and the prior information received. Is there a position that you want to take? On the other hand, if there are, half a dozen or 2 dozen, questions and comments that you want to submit pertaining to this application, then, they can be summarized and simply submitted on behalf of the community board as, the questions and comments, we have.
Well, if we decide perhaps to adopt at least, let's say, a possible, a call for a possible resolution based on this discussion tonight, and again, with the inputs, with further inputs, maybe perhaps this is something that we can advance. But I rely more in your judgment because I think there is substantial information that is still that remain pending, and but I definitely would like to, basically decide on and based on your opinion and your view on this. So I feel that we can perhaps, based on whatever this discussion has turned. Again, it's still a lot of loophole, but eventually I know it's going to be passing a solution. What we don't know exactly or may not decide because there is a lot of pending issues. It's not going to be taking any position except that perhaps to continue reviewing the information that we have collected and take it from there.
Let me just reiterate, since you asked, there is a deadline. There is a March 29th deadline, and that's pursuant to, I believe, the SCA Act. So it's 45 days from the notice, although we did get the letter 10 days after it's dated, which we'll leave alone. So there is a deadline for providing comments. So yes, you can continue to have discussion, but I think we meaning the community board, would be missing an opportunity if we did not submit comments by the March 29th deadline. So the extent to which there is a resolution that Youth and Education, if you want to say this is the, on balance, the best site possible, we support it, and that's a resolution, or this is the worst site possible, don't think about it, that would be a resolution of ultimately the board taking a position, because the committee does not speak for the board speaks for the board. If on the other hand, you're saying there is insufficient information on, how a number of things were decided, there are a number of questions on how the proposed move impacts A, B, and C, you can list those, I would think, as the comments that are submitted on behalf or by the community board concerning this proposed site.
Yes.
I mean, it specifically says that, written comments on the site plan. So it's, everything that that's been discussed in terms of what's the data in terms of travel distance, how are surrounding, uses compatible or incompatible? What's the timing of proposed city investments that will, make the area more attractive for school? There's a lot of information that we don't have, and those are all, I think, reasonable comments to suggest. But if, you know, from the youth and education perspective, if the committee has a position it wants to take on, you know, what's on the table, which is, you know, the site, then, you know, you can propose it, vote on it so that that is, you know, ready to go to the general board, which will just be a few days before the deadline, but it still will give us time to pass a resolution and have it submitted on behalf of the board.
Okay, and I want to also to add, and in such a case, do you think it will be possible that perhaps we may turn, let's say that we potentially pass a resolution and you know, based on the statement that, you know, we just said now, let's say improvement. So is there any room, or will be any room for us basically to come up and at the end adopting a joint resolution with the land and the youth community?
It can be presented. Well, actually, the land use committee didn't vote on anything. So at this juncture, it would not be a, you know, a joint resolution, nor does it have to be. You know, it can be a youth and education committee, and you've received input from the land use committee, and you can say that in your resolution.
All right. So yes, so then I definitely wanted then to at least to open up the floor for that possibility. We understand exactly that can happen. It's all a way room for improvement, or whether or not this may have to go back and table it again. But definitely,
No, just to be clear, you don't have time to table it because you have a deadline you're working against.
That's true too. Yes. All right, let's see what happens. But tentatively, based on the discussion that we have tonight, I want to definitely move to that we wanted to vote on that, and it's like a work in progress. So I move that, you know, based on the information that we collected tonight, I would like to, you know, proceed with this, with the possibility of this resolution. So may I have a second?
Yeah, I think you need to be clear on what the resolution is.
I just stated that maybe I didn't articulate it clearly enough.
May I say something, Faye?
Yes, yes.
The resolution that is on, you know, to be this voted on now, could you just read the be resolved, you know, and then we have an idea.
No, we're not going to have a be resolved. Let me try to explain what I am trying to. I know that Wayne, he was very helpful. What I'm trying to suggest, because this is a suggestion, since we're not going to have this presentation and we know that we have a deadline, and eventually we will come up with a resolution stating clear further on, you know, what position the board is going to take. So I just wanted to open up basically the floor based on the information and the discussion that we had tonight, with the hope that we're going to be improving this pertaining to whatever, you know, information we may collect as well as we present this in the executive committee. But if this is, if you think that, you know, maybe we still can adopt this resolution of the executive committee as well. But, you know, that's where I am, because since we had the members and the committee had this presentation tonight, and I think we have might not be an ample discussion, but, you know, it's we have a good discussion tonight, not necessarily to make a decision, of course not, because there is tons of questions that is still waiting for response. That is, it has to be, that language has to be incorporated in the and the resolution. But all I'm trying to is basically create the base for a resolution looking to be improved as we move next to the executive committee. If this is not the case, then we should then disregard it.
Faye?
Yes, Tanya.
Hi, Faye. Yeah, can I just throw my 2 cents in? In terms of this, I guess I oh, I'm sorry if someone had their hand up.
Yeah, me. My mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Committee first.
Sorry,
Committee
Tanya. I didn't
first.
mean to
No
call you off,
worries.
sweetie.
No, committee first.
Yeah. Happy Women's Day, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you off. I'm trying to, push this mic because I've been, like muted all the meeting, but now all of a sudden it's working. So I just want to add my 2 cents before Tanya add hers.
Yes.
And I really appreciate, everything that has been presented. But I have a problem. And the problem that I have, according to what I've heard, is that once again, the community hasn't have any input in this deadline, decision, however you want to call it. And I always like to give everybody the chance to speak and to elaborate if needed. And as a public school mother forever, PSAT, my son graduated from PSAT. So, I'm very familiar with the area and the school and everything. But I have really concerns about the process. Again, how we reach out to a deadline. And excuse my ignorance, I have a lot of respect for Wayne. He knows that as a professional and as a community board member. But I feel that I don't have enough information, especially I have a problem with the feeling that I have that definitely the community didn't have the proper input in this process. And again, I'm not against the project. I just think that we should have more information and that the community should have been involved prior to this deadline on the 29th. So
and definitely thank you. But one thing, and allow me, Tanya, we are not in this decision. Basically, the deciding factor here is just welcome the idea. It's an open idea, but also to at least to document that, this is we open the floor for this discussion, but still we're going to still continue gathering more information. It's not that we are going to be taking sides. We can even pass a resolution stating that we're going to, for example, review the information that we have collected today. And in the process, we can definitely, improve this. Yeah. But I understand, but you're entitled to that. But the fact that we pass a resolution doesn't mean that we're going to take side, because of course that we don't have concrete information to say, oh, we agree, for example, that the school needs to be. No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I think that there is a lot of conversation that need to happen before the deadline for us to submit such a thing.
Did the Youth and Education Committee members get a copy of the package that was sent to Eleazar? Okay, yes. So
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Gabriela, the deadline that I mentioned, it's not a Wayne Benjamin deadline, and it's not a community board deadline.
I didn't imply it was your deadline.
No. I'm saying in the letter that was sent to Eleazar dated February 12th concerning this, in the second to last paragraph, it points out that it is pursuant to the School Construction Authority Act. We have 45 days from the day of this notice, which I pointed out, while it's dated February 12th, the community board office received it on the 22nd, so it's 10 days later, but it's going from the 12th. So we have 45 days from the 12th to provide written comments on the site plan. And it says the authority will accept public comments on this proposed action until March 29th, 2021. And that's the reason why I kept stressing to Faye that, when our general meetings, if you table something, that means it's going to the next month. That means we're going to miss the deadline to comment, and they're going to say, we gave you the opportunity to comment. You didn't say anything. Goodbye.
Okay, I didn't receive it, but I understand.
Yes, it's in our email. I forwarded to you, to everybody. Yes. So yes, Tanya, please. Thank you, Wayne.
Not a problem.
Tanya? Tanya? Tanya, you with us?
Well, she's unmuted, but we can't hear her.
No, she's not muted now.
No, it's what she's unmuted, but we can't hear
Unmuted,
her.
yes. Okay. Well, I know that she has something to say. Tanya? All right. So anybody else has any comment?
So what is the decision now? What are we going to be doing about the deadline?
Well, I think, well, another thing is, I don't know if we, our committee, I don't know if we have quorum. If we, in case that we decide so. Who else is with, Waldis is with us. Hello?
Who are your committee members?
Huh?
Who are your committee?
Still here, guys, still here.
Waldis
No,
here.
actually, yeah, Faye, we do have quorum. There's 5 of us on here.
There's the 5 of us. Okay. So yeah, so you understand what I am trying to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's important. All that I'm trying to you. By the way, did you understand what Wayne explained?
Yes,
Who are you speaking with?
Wayne is saying that if we're going to make a decision, we need to make it today before the March 29th deadline. So if we were to do any resolution that was actually going to go to the general meeting, it would have to happen essentially, I guess, before the executive committee, which is next week, Monday, so that it can go for, through the proper channels until it gets to the general meeting.
If you have quorum, it does not have to go through the executive committee. It's only if you don't.
Okay, so then we essentially have a little less than 2 weeks.
Hello, can you all hear me?
We hear you now,
Tanya.
Tanya.
We were
Oh,
looking
I'm
for
sorry.
you.
Yeah, something happened. I'm sorry. I was like waiting, and then like my audio went out. Yeah, I hope I didn't interrupt anybody who was talking. If so, keep going. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. You had something to say before.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been said since I was having a little problem, but I was wanting to say about, in terms of this issue, I don't know if I've heard correctly that there's still time on their lease. Did I hear that correctly? If the people are able to answer, like they still have some time on their lease. What I was saying is that if there's still time, one of the positions that the board could take could be that they go back to the table and take that time to be able to, do this properly, meaning get the input from the community, get the input from the parents, get the input from the principals, get the input that's needed, and see if this is the direction they want to go. Because once this is done and the direction is, let's say that after the comment period is over and things then move forward, it's too late, right? So, is there a way to sort of advocate possibly that? I don't know if someone from, could answer that, if they still have time on their lease. Is that something that someone can answer? I don't know if anybody's hearing that or.
Yes, this is Gail Mandaro from the SEA.
Okay, do you have time on your lease? How much time do you have left?
The lease is not expired yet. The lease will expire for 2024, which is why we are desirous of acquiring this site so that we can design and construct a new school for these children to attend in September of 2024, and there'll be no gap in their place of enrollment.
Okay, but I'm thinking that you have time. I understand what you're saying about needing the time, sufficient time for construction and all of that. But what I'm saying is, if this getting proper public comment and getting a better assessment of the area, the geographic area, and that sort of analysis, there is time to still do that. This is not something that could take you a year to do, or even 6 months to get to do, right? In terms of, one of the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Yes.
no, you go ahead. No, I was talking to myself. Go ahead.
No, I think
I could just elaborate to the process a little bit, just so that everybody understands the timeline a little bit. So normally we say an ordinary school project takes 1 year to design and 2 to 3 years to construct. That's a normal SCA school construction project. So we are now in the beginnings, actually, believe it or not, almost the end of the first quarter of 2021. So we are now right within the wheelhouse of time that would allow us to get this school done in a timely fashion and be up to SCA DOE standards for these children. If we do not acquire this site and we go back out into the world right now and try to find another available 1 or 2 sites, hearing all the comments tonight, we would first have to find available sites, negotiate a contract of sale, come back to the community board and the Community Education Council, do our initial 45-day review period, complete seekers on that 1 or 2 new sites. Then once we complete that process, we would then go to City Council and the mayor. I can almost assure you we would not make our 2024 deadline if we did that. That doesn't mean that that couldn't happen. It's just the realities of how the timeline generally runs. And I just want everyone to be mindful of that so that we're all on the same page, having the same conversation.
Yeah, well, it seems to me, and I don't want to hog the time, it just seems to me that this is something that is sort of like, you sort of put yourself into that corner in the sense of how things sort of happen in terms of if this process had occurred already, meaning that prior to you getting to this point where now you're under the gun in terms of the timeline, if the parents and other people had been, if there had been a greater input from whenever you started this process of searching, if there had been more input, then it would have been fine. But I think what I'm saying is that I'm looking at it from both a land use perspective and also perhaps from the Youth and Education Committee perspective, is that because you're under a time frame, that's not that's still not a sufficient reason to say we can't get the proper community input and look and actually assess the site itself in terms of a compatibility and appropriateness and things like that. That these are the sort of things that need to occur anyway. Like, we can't sidestep that process. And I think if you go forward with this in this way, I'm looking at it from your perspective too. It's in the end of the day, there's gonna be problems. Like, you don't want to come into a situation where you bring something to a community and they didn't want it, and there wasn't proper input and they didn't feel like their voice, especially when their children are going to be going here and the parents are going to be impacted. So I just think that, it sounds like you said 2 to 3 years in terms of construction. You're going to probably miss it anyway, because we're in 2021 and you said 1 year of something and then 2 to 3 years of construction. We're in 2021. You're now in 2025, right?
I will tell you that I think Michael said it earlier today. I think the SCA now, and I don't hold me to this, I think it's 32 years old at this point, or in its 32nd year of existence, and we have yet to miss a single deadline. So I would find it unlikely that we would. But again, please, I encourage every single person on this call and anybody that you want to refer, submit your sites directly to the SCA. All your comments will be considered. It's sites, SITES, at nycsca.org. We will consider every single comment that we receive from parents, from community members, from stakeholders, from board members, and anyone else who chooses to submit any comment. We will attempt to answer any questions that you submit. Again, I think my colleagues—
And you say you're moving forward with the site though, right? So even if let's say people submitted site suggestions, what you just said was it's too late to go back to that drawing board and start to look at a new site.
Please don't misunderstand what I said. What I said is, if we follow our timeline and if we are to ensure that these children have a place to go when the lease expires, this would be my recommendation. If this community decides that this is absolutely unfavorable, they won't support it, and the elected officials don't support it, and no one's going to support it, I don't see how we go forward. So I'm not telling you it's a done deal. It's absolutely not. This is step one of our process. We must come out to the community board and the Community Education Council and submit this site for your consideration and comment. We must do that by statute. We also must go to city council and to the mayor for approval as well. If we can't get approval, we can't build the school. That is just the realities. So I'm not saying that it's a done deal. I'm not saying we're ignoring you. In fact, quite the contrary. All of your comments, positive, negative, neutral, or otherwise, will in fact be considered and be included in our package should we get to the stage where we submit this site to city council.
Yeah, Faye, I think maybe a resolution would be good. I agree with you, Faye. I don't know, again, what it would say, but I think if they're going to go forward with the city council, I think maybe, the board being on record saying something, taking a position in some way, might be prudent in this case. I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, obviously, I was just throwing my 2 cents in. Faye, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up too much time, and I apologies.
No, that's what it is all about, because this is not an IT, it's we. So and it's important for us to hear different opinions. So all that I was trying to do is just basically to open up the door for an agreement in which we're going to be improving, because we're not taking any side on this proposal, that proposal resolution that I would like to propose. But anyway, we still can adopt it at the general meeting. But the truth of the matter is that there is still a lot of information that we still need to come up with a concrete resolution. To me,
Faye, to pass a resolution, you are by default taking a position, because the community board, if they pass it, you're taking a position. So if you're following Tanya's logic and route, you're saying that the committee, the sense of the committee is X, and if you vote in favor it, the committee has taken that position and they have referred that position to the full body to bless. So if we're simply aggregating comments and submitting a list of comments to sites at New York State SCA, that's one thing. But if you're saying, for example, it's the sense of the committee that the process was not what it should have been, and that SCA should not move forward, either with this site until either more information is provided to substantiate it being the best site, or that they shouldn't move forward with the site at all. That's what the resolution needs to say. So you need to be clear what the resolution is saying.
Yes. Well, you actually,
what's the sense of the committee or your committee?
You actually articulated exactly even as I envisioned in my head. Yes, and that's why I use the term that is based on what we had witnessed tonight, the information that we had gathered. But yes, that's exactly what it is. As a matter of fact, I'm going to adopt exactly the piece of, few of the lines that you just said. So let me just take that note, and based on that, we can move with that. Maria, before we move forward, I know you have your hands raised. So yeah, your hands are
right.
raised.
Thank you so much. I am torn on a decision that could be based on comments that we heard tonight. We are in a position that we will not please one side or the other.
Correct.
Now, what is better for us right now? To support for the planning of a school that is extremely needed in our community. I recall when we have PS5 constructed, there were so many disagreements and problems as far as the site. You recall that school have a bridge that goes from the diamond houses to the school, and there was a problem about the environmental study that wasn't done because it was built on an old gas station, and so on and so on. I am also pleased to hear so many parents from other schools, their concern is the competition. I am concerned more on how we can build more schools in our areas, and then we can adjust curriculum, we can make some decisions, but we have to think about the children. It's not, and the work also of the community board. We failed not to have a public hearing because of the pandemic. We didn't have time, also information from the city, from the Department of Education, as to try to reach out to each parent. Extremely important that the parents get involved, but I think if we lose this opportunity now, when things can be corrected in the future, this is not a done deal. And I hear very nice things about the building and so on and so on. Do we need education? Do we need better schools in our community? That's my focus right now. And it's not really the comments that we heard tonight, extremely important from all sides, as I said. But I think we have the opportunity not to have something imposed on us in the future because we didn't have the time tonight to make a decision. So that's my position. I think we should approve what we have in front of us, and then we can work. We can put committees together. We can get the elected official. We can get the churches. We can get everybody involved, because this is a process. They have to purchase this place. We have to, we have to be realistic. Things don't happen just because a community board committee decide that we haven't heard from this and that. It is true. It's our fault. We didn't do what we're supposed to do because of lack of information. As I said, I don't want to repeat myself. I think it's time that we that we make a decision. And I think that we are in a committee. Everyone in this committee is intelligent enough. I think we have, also Benjamin telling us how the process is and the deadline. And believe me, I don't want someone to say, well, you lost the opportunity right now. I think that I will move that we take a vote right now and then put together later on a committee and organize parents and everybody else to make sure that what is coming on that particular school is what is needed. And we cannot just say, go and find another place. That is not realistic.
But just to interject a little bit, Maria, because there are times when the community board is at fault. This is not one of those times, because as I said, the letter from SCA was dated February 12th.
I heard that.
It was not received by the office until the 22nd, which I think is the day before the February general meeting. At the February general meeting, SCA made a very brief presentation where Liz Ritter accurately told them that you don't come to the general meeting, do a 2-minute presentation and expect to get a reso. You really should go to the committee so you could have a in-depth conversation. And we tried to get them to present to land use and youth and education, but they were not able to do so. But in any event, we said this is really a youth and education matter, and it's scheduled for tonight, and there is a in-depth conversation that's happening. So we're not missing anything, and the Youth and Education Committee is benefiting from the fact that although we did not have a presentation, land use reviewed the materials and gave youth and education our comments. So at this juncture, and I hear what you're saying, at this juncture, we've had a lot of conversation. And if the committee were to say that we understand that the leases are expiring, we absolutely want to and have to keep these schools in our community. So, obviously we support the construction of a new state-of-the-art school or schools to house these existing facilities. But that does not mean we cannot state in the same resolution our dissatisfaction with the process.
Oh, I agree with you. And so that could be part of a resolution.
Well, that could be the resolution.
All right. Yeah. So I think I'm afraid that we may lose an opportunity because on the area that is the Inwood redevelopment area, I believe, and all that thing. There is going to be a lot of issues that will affect our constructing schools in our area. But anyway, that's my position. So the other members of the committee should, tag in.
All right, I think that we definitely should move forward, just with the idea. Members, I just wanna, if anyone has any very last question or any last comment, so this is the moment just to, just go ahead, so before we move and do whatever we need to do. Anybody else have any comment? So, so then I guess that, let me see if we can put this in one piece. So what we are saying here, I would like to, before I pronounce the word move, I really want to be sure to say that we're going to be moving. Basically, what we're going to be asking is in support of the information collected tonight, and also with the commitment that we will incorporate this information along with the pending responses of all these questions that we submitted as a part of this. So in other words, the resolution is basically to accept what we have witnessed tonight and improve. So Wayne.
Is that what the resolution is? Or is the resolution saying that in principle, we support the construction of a new school to, accommodate the expiring leases? We have reservations about how the site selection process was undertaken, and just cite what those reservations, are, and, sort of leave it, because basically what Maria is saying, we want the schools, and obviously we want the new schools with, it will be completely ADA compliant and presumably, larger and better facilities. I haven't heard anyone say that, we don't want to keep these schools in the community. We do have reservations about the site selection process and how the site selection process impacts the operation of schools. So it's almost like those three things would constitute your resolution. Having a resolution that's saying you're accepting what was presented and you're going to approve it, I can hear the conversation now at the board where, what does that mean?
Yeah, that would be too general.
It would be very general.
Yeah, too general. Would you repeat that, and then what I will do is accept exactly that, so we move forward.
I would love to hear what your committee members think. What I'm hearing is that we support the need for a new school or schools. We have reservations about the process that was used in order to arrive at this particular site. And we have, concerns about how the location impacts the travel distance for current users of the school. So it's kind of, summarizing all of this into 3, maybe 4 key points that are easy to understand and to digest.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
When you captured what the essence is, pretty much. I would just like to add, if it makes sense, the community intervention, as one way or the other, during that. I don't know how can we incorporate that
community engagement.
Right.
Well, that would be, I think, part of the reservation with the process, but maybe we want to call it out specifically.
Correct.
All right. So I just wrote briefly, or trying to wrote exactly the way you put it, Wayne, because definitely it's exactly what we want. We're not full committed in the sense that we are leaving room by using the word discretion, because of course it is depending, information. But so far, this is what I wrote while you were speaking. You say that, we in support of the need for new schools, of the new school. Let me see, the new school, we can, I lost you just right in there. So we support the need of a new school we do have reservation. And what else is it that you say? Could you repeat that?
You have reservations about how the site selection process was undertaken. We have reservations about, as Gabriela pointed out, the extent or the lack of, true community engagement. And we have concerns about how the proposed location.
I don't write so fast.
Okay, but you know what? I can send you an email if to bullet point this. And we have concerns about how the proposed location impacts travel distance for current students and parents. So it's basically one general point of agreement and 3 points of concern.
People are also mentioning the Con Ed the proximity of the Con Ed facility. I don't know if that is anything you all want to include, or Wayne.
But
What do
that's
you
part
think?
of the site selection process.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, how'd you get there is the question.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm trying to look at the recording. Anyway, let me just open up.
So, excuse me, it's on, we're being, we have this on tape, right?
Exactly.
All right, I forgot that, yes.
If Wayne can send us a brief summary of what he said, that would be okay. I think that we all understand.
Yeah, all right.
We just discussed. I just don't want to lose opportunity.
Yeah, all right. No, let's move. Let's move, and someone actually will second it. So I will go as far as I understood, but of course it's on tape, and I'm exactly referring to our committee.
We can work on that today.
Excuse me.
Then we can work on that later. I think that we can summarize what we have, but I think the concept of our discussion
exactly
is already understood.
Then, okay, folks, let's move, or I move, okay, this committee move, that we support the needs of the school, of the construction of the new school. Of course, we also take in consideration there are some reservation, and more precisely, I just wanted to add that the statement already recently stated by Cali Wayne is basically what we are going to be voting on this. So now, may I have a second?
Second.
Gabriela, second. All right. What is going to happen now is we're going to have committee members are going to we are going to vote. I'm going to take the vote for committee members. Second, we're going to take the vote from board members, and then we're going to take the vote from public members and anyone present. So
okay, so you're going to do it because Wayne is not in our committee, so he's going to be voting as a community board member.
Members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I go yes.
Again, member first. Those in favor say yes, or you just raise your hand.
Yes.
Yes.
Viola, yes. Maria, yes.
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 Glenny, okay.
Tanya, oh, I'm sorry.
Waldy? Waldy? I'm sure he's there. Okay, any other committee member present? Okay, nobody else. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fed, yes, of course. Waldy, are you there? All right, so let's then move with the, we can always circle back.
Yeah, I don't see him logged in anymore.
Oh, he probably left already.
So we have Tanya and
board members. Wayne?
Yes.
Tanya?
You're going to include the specific concerns about Con Ed and traffic and that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
Then yes.
Okay. Any other committee member present? I mean, board member? Let's see.
I thought I saw Mariela Ali before, but she was on the attendee side, but I don't see her anymore.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we should call member of the public members. Do we have any public members? Okay. All right. So I guess any members, member in general of the public, I believe that they can vote yes.
Yes.
Wait, did you see anybody else in there that I may not seeing?
Yes. My sister said yes.
Well, if you can ask Faye if members of the public or who wish to vote can vote, but they need to do so by raising their hand.
Members of the public, yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying, because I was giving also, I was calling public members.
Yeah, but that's different because public members are actually members of your committee. But
Exactly.
members of the public are members of the public.
Correct, yes, but that's what I was referring, public members for our committees.
Right, but now
And the general public.
Now you're the general public.
Yes, exactly. So we don't have no public members from our committee. So now I'm gonna open up for members of the public. You may say yes if you're in favor, you may raise your hand, or you may abstain, or you may say
You
no.
want them to raise their hand so you can count them?
Yeah, if they raise their hand, it would be a lot easier. Okay, so members of the public, raise your hand.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And sits with my sister, she's next to me.
Oh, okay.
How many? 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Maria's sister is 6.
Maria's sister 6.
So that's 4. You need to also do opposed or abstaining.
Okay. Any abstain, you said?
You have to ask for opposed and abstaining.
Yes, I did that. I ask is those that may have a choice to abstain or say no. So do we have any abstain?
I don't know. There are 2 hands up, but these are hands that were up from before. So.
Oh boy.
So the 2 hands that are up, Blanca and Elisa, are those hands up for 4 or?
I wonder if we can hear that.
Yeah, so right
raise her hand, yes?
Yeah, so right now, Faye is taking votes in opposition. So if you're opposed to the resolution, raise your hand. I see 2.
2 opposed?
Yes.
Oh. Opposed. Okay. 2 opposed.
And now she's taking vote if you are abstaining. So if you already voted, please take your hand down.
Okay.
You can't vote for both. You can't vote opposed and abstain. So it's one or the other. So I guess we have none abstaining. So that's your vote, Faye.
Only 2 votes. Okay. So the yes has it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 12 yes and 2 opposed and 0 no. Okay, so the yes has it. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now, thank you very much all. So the resolution passed. Now, let's move to new business, old business. If there is any new and old business, I believe we have someone by the name, presenters, by the way.
Thank you, everyone.
I wanted to
Thanks for
release you out of the hook
hard work.
before we
appreciate it.
continue. Mr. Conrad, Mirisola, and also to Zuolo. I want to thank you very much for your time, and also with this girl. She left already?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for giving us the floor tonight. We very much appreciate the
Appreciate all the time and
No,
hard work
thank
you
you,
do.
and I'm sorry all this, it's been
Very
lengthy
much.
evening so far. Thank you so much, and we definitely will be in touch.
It's hard work.
Take care. Have a good
It's
night.
hard, but we need to get the job done.
And Faye, I need to drop off the meeting now.
Yes,
Right.
fair enough, but not without thanking you deeply. Thank you so much, Gwen.
You're very welcome. I sent you an email and I can, send you some follow-up to help, flesh out what we discussed in terms of the reso, okay?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, take care all.
Thank you, yes. Let's
Thank you,
go- let's-
Faye. Thank you,
let's go-
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tanya. Let's go to all business quickly because I have some issue that I need to actually, discuss it with you. Let's see. Miss Rodriguez is somewhere around here. Rodriguez has the announcement.
And they would have to be upgraded.
Oh, we still have them because I cannot, some of them I was able to see, but other
Rodriguez.
are not.
I don't see Rodriguez. I don't see that name anywhere on here.
Okay, Natalie, you have any comments?
Well, I mean, thank you. And I know this was a very difficult thing to manage with a lot of moving parts. I just wanted to say for any parents who are, still on, I know that a lot of them exited the meeting. We share the concerns that I think you captured in the end in the resolution that, we have concerns about the input process. We have concerns about how they did ask for suggestions for sites. And we've, over and over again, we've had this experience with city agencies where they put out a citywide call that doesn't really identify the location for where they're looking for something, rather than a meaningful public engagement process that would have been really focused on the families of those two schools. So I think that you heard a lot of that. I think that you've captured that along with the other design concerns that were discussed by the Land Use Committee. So I thank you. I salute you for the work you're doing. As always, feel free to reach out if you have, technical questions. But I think you're, it's hard work here, and I thank you all for it.
Well, thank you, thank you very much. I truly appreciate, your statement and definitely we always in every situation we learn something, new. And this has been a very, tough meeting, I would say, because we have so many participants and unfortunately, we allow as many as possible, but I think that this process deserves to go further. I think that we need to, especially the District 6, should call for a public hearing so where parents can definitely participate or have more participation. I don't think that this is it should be a decision based on just a simple 2 meetings, CEC and the community board. So
ideally not, but here we find ourselves with a timeline where a clock is already running. Yeah. And so you have to put in some comment, otherwise they note into the city record that you gave no comment, that CB12 had no opinion, and that wouldn't be accurate.
Right. Yeah. Well,
that's what I was afraid of.
We were in different times.
But I think we still Faye. I think we have time. Parents, sometimes they really focus in one thing, what is good for the children, and that's extremely important. And I think that we are giving them also an opportunity to go to to a high quality on education school, even if they are next to each other. Maybe they compete. Maybe competition is good. Maybe we one school knows that another one is coming, and they the teachers will be better, the principals and things like that. So there's a whole lot of things that we need, that I think that we should be happy with how as a committee and a community board are doing. And of course the city does whatever they feel like doing. That's another story. Yeah. But thank you so much, Faye, for carrying on.
No, thank you, because the appreciation is collectively anyway. I wanted just to pass it on you that we had a call from the consulate. It was like a last minute thing. And I met with the new consul. You know Cecilia Baez, right? Cecilia Vice, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So the thing is that she suggested before she left the council, she suggested to she offered to introduce us with the new administration, so they keep supporting the youth and police, building bridges, and also to come to the community and continue the relationship. The thing is that we were waiting since September, where the conversation actually started, and they didn't call us. So suddenly last week, we received this phone call that the council was willing to see us. They informed us on Friday they want us to be on Monday. I said no, it's not sufficient time, so I can be ready, because I also have other things, and I knew that it's hard to pull a group and go in there. So anyway, the thing is that I went there. Jonathan was supposed to meet with us and be there, and I asked them if we can meet on Thursday, like 2 days later, and we went there. I bring the banner so they can see if they granted us a picture with the banners. And the council was very happy about the initiative, and he said that he wanted to come to the community, and he wanted definitely to continue the relationship, and that he's willing to support, like the previous administration, the youth and police building bridges. So let's see what happened. But as I told him that unfortunately because of the COVID, we were not being able to do anything, and if we decide to go and do anything, it's going to be basically virtual. But yes, we took a picture with him, and basically that was it. So we may gonna have a planning committee coming sometime in April to see somebody comes with idea and help us to see if it's going to be virtual, what we can do, how we can do this, and let's see what happens. But I wanted just to let you know, that we met with them, and let's hope that they come to our community.
Okay.
Yes, and what was the other thing that I wanted to say? Well, I wanted actually to discuss, but the board's already members. I just wanted to gather their thought, and the chancellor that it's a abrupt resignation, and we have more question mark or question than answers. So that was something that we really didn't expect to happen. And I was really want to gather the thoughts from from you and the rest of the Cali, but most of them already left. So, but I just wanted to open a discussion, basically for that. So and I guess this is it. There was also, let me just at least pronounce this, because just for the record, there is a new program in photography. Her name is Josephine, I think Harris, I think it is. That's her. She's offering us. She want to announce a program in photography for kids who wanted to study photography. So she has started a photography program, and I guess that I will be sending that via email. And this is it. So Natalie and Maria and Glennie and the rest of us in this meeting. So I just want to thank you. And I guess we're ready to adjourn the meeting. Is any question
before we adjourn? Congratulations to all the women. I think I said that before, but anyway, I'm happy to see that the chancellor is a woman, and I think that it's really great. And thank you for all the participants today. The majority were women.
Yeah, we should say
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
Happy International Women's Day. I totally forgot.
Okay.
So I was congratulating everybody in the morning, but at the opening of the meeting, I guess also that what I was hoping that Glennie, were able to join us, but I don't know what happened. So by the time that she arrived,
she's a mother, she's a young woman.
Here. What do you mean that you were hoping I'd be able to join? I was here. I was 15 minutes late. That was all. But I was here for the whole meeting.
No, but what I'm saying is that by the time when you were able to join us, we already were on the questions. And then I was kind of, lose track of, I don't know what to do. Like, should I continue or what? But that's okay. You will take it next month.
No problem. We just got to prepare. That's all. We got to make sure we're prepared so we don't have any confusion during the meeting.
I think we were prepared, yes.
All right.
If I may,
everybody go home.
If I may just remind you that the Borough President's Office has community board training workshops that are on various topics, but of course, this year we're gonna have Zoom meetings. So finding out, because Zoom is an ongoing training. It's not something you learn just once and then you can do. You have to keep learning it and keep practicing it. And so keep an eye out for those workshops and make sure that somebody from each committee goes.
But I think, no, definitely, and thank you for reminding me that, because Borough President always offers those training. But I think that it's a good idea that, our colleagues start, in the meeting as well. So they should definitely attend to those meeting. They're gonna learn. Myself, I still learning this. I still learning this. But I think that exposing them, I think, is a good thing. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I have to say.
All right, so let's
just very briefly about the vaccine. Anybody that knows anyone that has to register, I could do it. We can get people to go and have the vaccine the following day. If they give me the information, I will put it in. The armory is, something unique. What is happening there had to be filmed for the, just to show the community how the operation between the hospital and the armory is going. Thousands of people go there every day, and no one is being turned away. So please get your shot. Don't wait for the new vaccine. We have it ready. Make sure that mothers, grandmothers, everybody, gets advantage of this opportunity. We are on a crisis. We are in a crisis, and we are in a crisis. So good night to all of you, and thank you.
So meeting is adjourned at 10:14.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all. And thank you, Glennie, too.
Thank you all.